Welcome to episode 5 of the Brain Jar. We've got a new guest. We've got Vondus on the show. Vondus, say hello.
Hello, lads.
Hello. This is, as always, the podcast where you make your own takes as spicy or as, mild as you want them. 90%, 50%, 10%. You can say something that's just on your mind, or you can dig deep and really come up with some absolute nonsense. So, without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. We'll start with Heseltine. What's your first 90% take?
Alright, I think there's a 90% chance that Complexity are straight up just not wishing each other happy birthday with sincerity. And by that I mean they're just sick of each other. Like, I just think, this team has suffered so many just devastating losses. They fucked up so many games. Like, in CS2. Like, the history goes even further back, but I'm gonna stay on CS2. They've just messed up so many games. Like, recently we've even lost our good friend Maui Snake because he banked his whole career that they would not fuck up a retake. And they did. And they didn't,
to a
like,
real one.
Well, his career's kind of gone down the drain already, but
we've lost him. He's gone. So, like, what are we gonna do? So anyway, I even looked into it even deeper, and I was looking at the astrology compatibility between Elige and his teammates.
right.
And
As one does.
And by some strange coincidence, the two people that have the worst compatibility with him are Floppy, who's a Capricorn, and Grim, who's a Sagittarius. So there's a lot to unpack there. What do you guys think?
Mate,
Go ahead.
as if you've gone into the fucking Capricorn and Sagittarius.
Well, Elige is a Cancer, and apparently they have bad compatibility or difficult compatibility.
Is this like a romantic relationship compatibility? Like,
No, friendship.
No, why are we even entertaining this absolute bollocks? Why are we even entertaining this absolute
it's nonsense
bollocks?
because I think it's actually the complete opposite. I think that, like, it's like they're like elephant in the room. Like, we're all great friends. I wonder what the issue is with our team. It can't be any of us. Like, I think it's that. I think it's the opposite of what you're saying, actually.
Maybe.
Also,
but listen,
I think
they're just like, they need to rebuild. It's over.
They need to rebuild.
They do need to rebuild. But here's the thing. I don't think any of them actually, well, apart from Elige. I think Elige may be harboring resentment, but I think the rest of them are probably just chilling.
Looks like he's harboring resentment, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
If I was Elige, I'd be mixing arsenic into their coffee.
You'd be calling up Messioso, taking him to all the nicest restaurants.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, go on, Messioso, but no. Let's go have a look around this wet market.
Yeah, taking JT and TC out to dates, like,
mate, JT needs to be freed. I feel so bad for him. He's too good for this team.
He's only gotten, like, better, I feel like. I mean, his tactics were always, like, the most underrated part of him. Like, I remember even back in, like, ATK to C9, like, ages ago now, like, his flashbang setups were pretty much, like, still iconic.
I think, I agree with that, because JT, like, I'm watching these Cologne play-ins, and, like, the amount of teams that just can't, like, run a playbook, like, I'm just shocked. Like, I'm seeing 3D Max just fumble every single T round they could possibly fumble, and I'm like, you guys are, like, actually a tier 2 team. How are you, like, this bad? Like, at running just strats. Like, this is why JT is underrated, because you've actually used, like, these diabolical pieces and actually gotten somewhere with them, minus Elige. But, like, I just don't understand, like, this team just needs to, like, do something. It just can't be this way. It can't.
I feel like JT just, I don't know, he needs to bench himself or something, because this is, the
Kassad take.
Like, bench himself and get 6 mages.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't need to bench himself or anything. He needs either just sit down with Jason Lake and just say, oh, mate, I'm not playing with Grim or Floppy ever again. Like, just, it's me or them, basically, because I can't, their performance is so horrifically bad that it's just, like, it's just a hit. It's so bad that the greatest NA player of all time can't carry them. That's how bad they are.
The reverse Cadian, the IGL threatening to leave for 2 players.
Yeah. Well,
yes.
I'm trying to think, like, yeah, go on.
I think it's a bit of a tautology. Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
bit of a tautology to say NA team and having issues amongst the people within them. Like, has there been an NA team which hasn't had issues amongst the personal relationships of the players? Right?
That's actually a really good
Ooh.
question.
That's a good point.
I don't think
But
that
I think
has
this
there
is
ever
way
been
worse than I've
one
seen.
team ever.
Because like that's
That NRG team have
They
issues?
liked
What?
each other.
Did
They
they?
fell
like,
apart.
Which
they did-
iteration?
Well, actually, Ethan retired, so I don't know how
But he
much he was
didn't
enjoying it.
dislike anyone. Like, I don't think that was the reason he tried.
No, he just wanted to play Valorant, didn't
Yeah.
he? But yeah,
Hated his team
Chaos,
so much he
maybe?
went to play
The-
Valorant.
Oh yeah, Chaos is
the
probably
final iteration of Chaos,
yeah.
probably. Not the one with Smoo, yeah, I think.
Well, I
We
mean,
could
but
all see
is
his
there
history
evidence that
there.
they didn't like Smooya? I mean, apart from the copious evidence that
But
nobody likes
Steel-
Smooya, like
No, Steele said he didn't.
Yeah, I
Steele
know,
was
I
just
rem-
it's
I remember.
just impossible to work for.
yeah. But anyway, just to go back to the actual take, I think you got. I think if you exclude a liege, if you include a liege, then it makes sense. But I actually think your 90% is complete bogus because I actually think the problem is that they love each other too much. If they didn't love each other, then they'd actually be like making demands and like, doing something apart from like holding hands when they're losing, going like wondering why they're losing.
I mean, the thing is, Elige is on the team, so you can't really exclude him.
Yeah,
But
I guess
I think-
you're trying to. He is the
I think
90%.
when he got there, I think he in his head thought like the expectations of that division would change like with his signing because they
Well, you should
as we
say something
covered on
about it,
past
then.
episodes. As we've covered on past episodes, like he was literally bought for pennies on a dollar from a rival team and made them better like immediately. So yeah. It's just it's not a great situation, is it?
I mean, I agree
What
with the
about-
principle. Yep.
What about? No, this is a bit out there because I doubt Elise wants to move to Europe. But what about him instead of Rain?
Instead of
I think that would-
Rain, right now, is Elige's first or second in more often?
Yeah, that's a good point actually.
Because that's the important question. And I mean,
He's-
we have to
I
talk
mean,
about
I
before
think
we
if
talk about
anybody
Rain,
can
we need to talk about
adjust-
Carrigan as well. But I mean, we can talk about that later.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure someone's got.
Yeah, I've got a
phase
phase point in my 90%, so I might pivot.
Yeah, I nearly had one. So
Got a
I've got a
related
few things to say
NA
about that as well.
team 90%. If we
Yeah,
if we
I think we've conclusively. Well, what do you, first of all? Okay, let's interact with Heseltine's point on its actual premise because I said it was nonsense. Sif, do you all agree it's nonsense, or do you actually think they don't like each other?
I think they don't like each other in as much as I've yet to really see many NA teams which do like each other. But other than that, it's pure speculation. Really.
Yeah, Vondas, what do you think?
I think the four like each other. I just think Elige probably just
Yeah.
doesn't like
Get
some
me
of them.
out,
It would be my guess on it. Like, yeah.
Right.
That's fair.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean, he's known to have issues like that in terms of not getting along with people. Anyway,
it's true. I mean,
Like-
it's worth it for them at least, but is it worth it for him? I think probably not.
Yeah.
Anyway, time will tell. I think you're not gonna see. I don't think we're gonna see any roster moves from them until after the major, just because they're guaranteed to get the major. Like,
I don't even think they
Ollie.
can afford one. Can they really?
yeah, but after they make it to the
Unless-
major, maybe Jason Lake's gonna be like, we got a bit of pocket change, but even I still doubt it. Oh, we got a bit of latency on Sift.
And I know it goes to the players, but I'm sure if Lake went to the boys and was like, "Mate, Elish, you want better players? Give me like 50% of the sticker money, and I can get you something good."
Yeah, it might be an Elite, like Jason Lake's like, Elite, can you cut your salary a little bit? Like,
Not even that, just like the sticker money. Like that's literal mills.
yeah,
Well, what you could do is say you get we take some of your sticker money, but you get an increased prize winning percentage or something. So he gets the money back, but he also gets the good players.
sure.
Or if he
Like-
has a specific player he specifically wants, he could just be like, "Give me the sticker money for this like major, and
yeah,
I'll get you
I
that
mean,
player."
Yeah, I mean, good luck finding a decent player in NA.
Yeah,
but,
you got a lot of problem
Well,
is
I
making
mean,
it
I've,
work.
I've seen other
Maybe-
people
maybe-
speaking about there's plenty of talent in NA. It's just that the NA fucking talent seekers are trash.
Well,
And
a
The
lot of
thing
them have
is, look
personality issues as
what
well.
Twist has done. Look what Twist has done. I think Elite is thinking, hey, I want to GM as well.
Yeah.
What is this? Like, why can't I choose who plays on my team?
Yeah,
I mean, the
had
last
a,
time Elise did that,
So I was gonna say I
know,
also
last-
had a twist point for 90%, but I probably won't mention it unless we have spare time because it's a bit too similar to some of the other stuff I said. But anyway, you were saying something, and then we'll move on after.
Oh, my point's finished.
Oh, yeah, okay. I think we took all the juice out of that one. I don't
Mhm.
think there's much. Okay, Sif, you said you had a related North American point. Was that?
yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to you then.
So my 90% is that NA teams, specifically Liquid and Cole, won't get past the opening round of Cologne proper. So if you look at the wins they've had in the play-ins, Cole and Liquid both won pretty pained games, honestly. Liquid had an OT versus Pain, but they did win
Games.
2-0. And Cole also won 2-0 versus alternate attacks, but they were relatively close games, 13-10 Cole's pick. And AA have a 45% win rate on that map, and that's their second highest win rate out of all their maps. Like, come on.
So, and just in
Um,
case anyone's vaguely heard of alternate attacks, they were good, slightly good for a bit, but they're actually terrible now. Just as a bit of reference for people who haven't seen them play.
Yeah.
It is the 8th of August.
Yeah,
So
this is
Cologne
right
play-ins
before
hasn't-
the games of MongolZ FlyQuest and Saw vs Big. So just
Yeah,
for
so
posterity.
so Cologne proper hasn't started. We're just in the middle of play-ins. So combining these facts with the deadly opening stage of Cologne, like Navi, Astralis, G2 Spirit in Group 1, VP FaZe, Vitality,
Christ.
and kind of MongolZ in Group 2, I still have my reservations about MongolZ. I don't think that either of those teams has much of a chance in getting through the opening round if they even get there. Unless they pair with like MongolZ, Astralis maybe, or VP. I'd maybe give them an edge in those, especially against MongolZ, because MongolZ on stage.
What?
Okay, so are you saying they're both gonna go in last place of the main event?
I just see them really.
Opening round? Oh, you mean like they're gonna lose their first game?
You mean
I don't
okay?
first game that alone. They get that. I'd be surprised if they want to send the other teams also leave this down there.
Hold on.
And then
Let me see if I
losing
can
stages.
fill with this. 1 sec.
Even after the round, panic.
So yeah, so if you talk, I have to go back to your point about MongolZ because like I don't see how they can be. I don't see how you can think Liquid could beat MongolZ because they are well group stage merchants to begin with, but they're just such a tight cohesive core that I just don't think Liquid can match that.
Well,
Yeah.
Liquid.
So-
Sorry, for which
and
team?
then-
Sorry.
Hello?
Yeah, it's all good.
For MongolZ,
For
Sif
MongolZ, okay.
said that he was like he seemed to think that it was more of a coin flip than
I think
than
Liquid. I think
you would-
Liquid could
than I-
beat
than I
VP
believe.
again because they did it
Yeah,
one
no,
time. I think VP
don't
is
trust-
Well,
repeatable.
that's what I said. MongolZ, VP, or Astralis maybe are the ones I'd put
Honestly,
them
I think Vitality
beating.
are beatable, and it's like
Yeah,
Vitality have
I
been
think
on an
Vitality
uptrend
are as well.
recently. They were dominant in the last.
actually,
Most
honestly,
recent
FaZe are
games
also
they
beatable
played.
at this point.
I said that as well. I don't know I don't know what point I cut out.
I don't know if that
Yeah,
one
so
came
I
through,
started-
but yeah.
Um,
Well, then okay, at that point, okay, so your 90% is that neither of the American teams, North American teams, if they make it through, are gonna win their first round game.
yeah, I could see them getting through the like lower round brackets because that gives them the possibility of going against the other shitters, other poorer teams.
You can swear.
Who have
We'll
who
probably
are
pass
going
the like 5 minute.
other poorer teams who have who are getting through the play-ins, but I mean, look at the group 1 is a group of fucking death.
Is it?
like Holy shit!
There's
Navi,
there's Navi,
Astralis,
Navi
G2,
and Spirit. I would say are scary. Astralis and G2 don't scare me.
I
I
think
G2 don't scare
yeah.
you?
I
Yeah,
don't
G-
think so.
G2,
I just
G2 are slept on.
G2 are a
I don't know why
G2 are a
people hate this
day-to-day
team.
team to me.
I've got a point
think
about that
they've got
later
too
for my
give you that.
50%.
Okay,
like,
I've got a
I'll,
point about that for my 50%.
yeah. I'll let
But
you save that one. But like,
yeah.
I honestly
Sorry,
don't think.
I'll
I
let you
think.
guys.
Yeah, okay. Someone else can say this because I'm gonna just before I pass it on. I just don't. I don't agree with it. But what's anyone else got to say?
I think you're not underrating Col. I don't even think they make the main event, to be honest with you. But I'm a known NA hater, so that's probably just bias. But in terms of Liquid, I think they could quite easily beat any team in Group B. That's currently in Group B. In Group A, I think I could see them beating G2 and Astralis, and then potentially Spirit if Harley's not there. I don't know if he's got a visa yet or not.
Yeah,
Or if he's off.
we still don't know about that. I don't
well.
think.
But I don't think that form will continue for Liquid. I think it's just a sort of a momentary uptick,
Yeah,
like we
sure.
saw with Astralis, which is actually quite a similar situation.
Yeah.
Except they've got a noticeably worse AWPer. So,
But,
I don't know.
especially
I
Liquid,
trust.
right? I was just getting the stats up.
Yeah,
first, sorry.
I just trust Liquid's firepower, and I think JKS is stable enough. I think NAF is one of those players that people just get really frustrated playing because it's never just you're instantly deleted. You're always like four bullets in the side, like in your back. Like he's just a menace constantly. And then you've got your Kindar, who is basically just a slot machine. You don't know what he's going to do round to round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you got Ultimate, that is again a slot machine, but it's got slightly better odds. So
Yeah, and he's got a
Of your
few
roulette
clutch,
table.
a few clutch moments at least so far.
yeah, well, he
But,
seems
like,
to be an incredibly streaky. But I don't even mean games. I just mean like
Yeah,
in like certain parts of a game, like you start strong.
yeah. I think
and
I may
taper
have
off,
missed a
or
map or
you
two, but I don't
start
think
terribly.
I've ever seen him start strong properly. He's in some late
So,
game moments.
one of the games yesterday you did. I can't
Okay, well,
remember.
I think that he had one. I remember he did
yesterday.
have one really good map, so that may be the one.
I think it was on Anubis,
Yeah.
but I could be
Yeah,
wrong.
Pain Gaming. He was playing against Pain
Okay,
Gaming, and he
well that's
started
fine
really
then.
well.
But I think
Okay.
overall he's had rough time starting up on maps.
Which
Yeah.
I think is fair for a tier 2 AWPer that was basically a hybrid. You know, he's going to take some time to get used to tier
Yeah.
1.
I mean, this is a pretty bad question to ask, just like off of memory. Does anyone know what the seeding rule is for like first round matchups? Like, did they just do it by ranking, or did they do it by? I assume it's by ranking, right?
Ooh.
I have no idea, to be
Let
honest.
me-
I have no idea, to be honest.
Because that's important in determining whether there's 90%. Because I think complexity lose to everybody, so I'm not even gonna like include that one in there. Like that's like a free pass. But it's mostly Liquid against like which team is most likely to go up against him is the question.
I think it does depend on
Where are they in the ranking?
the other teams.
Even
Well, they got the top 10 on
9th.
HOT, but you have to check ESL's ranking. I don't know if ESL values blast groups. I think.
Oh yeah, yes.
Let me.
Yeah, no, they probably don't even think it exists.
They're ranked 14 on ESL's ranking.
14. It depends on who also qualifies. What if because I assume it's based on that. Also, who else qualifies? They should probably be like second or third to last. It depends who else is in the running to make it. We're going a whole tangent here to figure this one out, but I think it's probably worth it. Won't take too long.
It's the
What?
so it's today. It's Complexity versus Eternal Fire, MIBR
It's
versus
Eternal Fire.
9Z,
9Z.
Furia versus Liquid,
Liquid.
and MIBR versus
Oh.
9Z is Friday. Sorry, Big versus Saw, and then it's
That's
lower
probably
bracket.
big. It's got to be big, surely.
Yeah, so
Probably.
the only team that's Furia and 9Z are both higher than Liquid, but they're the only two.
Honestly,
Oh,
I
and
mean,
did-
Fury
and
versus
complexity,
Liquid.
and
Liquid might
complexity.
just go to the lower bracket, but then in lower bracket you've got Falcon's alternate attacks, Heroic, 3D Max, Imperial Pain, and FlyQuest MongolZ. I mean, Mongols should beat FlyQuest. They really should.
Watch Falcon struggle against alternate attacks.
Nah, I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Like they are.
I listen.
Mate,
As
they
much
might
as
just 'cause they're
we've been
starting
hating on
here at the
Falcons,
moment. I can't.
that would be crazy.
If that happens, I think Magisk would quit, like on the spot.
Magis was. I've got him on my fantasy. He's been doing work for me in the first game he played. But
Yeah.
dear
I
God,
think,
was
okay,
that,
I'm gonna
that
run off
team,
the
teamwork was
assumption that
awful.
Team Liquid are like a
And
middle
Heroic
of the
have
pack
said
seeding
today.
wise, which means they probably won't go up against like Navi or Mouse. But the thing is, Spirit are fifth, so they could. It's. I think it's.
Ooh.
This is tough. I'm gonna actually give them much. Like 90% that they won't win is I think too high. Because if they.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Yeah, I think
have a
that's too
lot
high
going
as
in
well.
their favor. They have a lot. I think they're already used to the like playing environment here. They're actually like the synergy they have right now is like impressive considering how new they are. I think they actually could like really take a kind of like shocking upset first round in these groups. I think it's actually it's more possible than 90, 100. I think it's more like 60.
Yes.
I think
It's
it's
like
more
60,
realistic
70
in my
in that
opinion.
range somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
do
mean,
admire
Liquid
the
always carries a lot
haterism.
of name brand with them, but I mean, they beat Pain in OT with JKS going 1.46 and NAF going 1.43. Those aren't reproducible sort of things. Like NAF
Yeah, but
literally in
I don't see them
T-side
getting
went
worse. You know what I
2.1
mean?
rating. Like that's not
Like
something which
I
happens
think they
often.
would get better rather than get worse. At least in one event, like at least game to game. That's my perspective on it. Like I don't think they would go up. Like I also think there's a mentality thing. I think Liquid would do better against a team with a bit more of a name to themselves than like Pain. I think there's the because you got what Twist, Snaf, a lot of like these guys. I feel like they'll try a little bit harder against a name brand team that people think that they're not gonna beat. I think there's some
guess.
aspects of that in there. Like the fact that they should beat Pain, even though they're a new lineup, may have contributed a bit. Plus, they actually are a new lineup, and inconsistency inherent in that. Like, I just say the factors that they don't make it a 90% chance that they just straight up lose the first game. But like, I don't
mean,
even.
that doesn't mean that.
But like, okay, what's the worst
matchup
matchup that they could have?
Depends on form. If Vitality are on top form, them. If Spirit are on good form and have Hallie, them. If FaZe don't bottle openings, but they basically always do, they're pretty bad. But I wouldn't say they're the worst.
No. Yes, the thing is, I
Astralis,
wouldn't even
if they're on
necessarily
form,
say.
I think Liquid just have a really bad mentality versus Liquid because of the like
Astralis, you
constant
mean?
losses.
Yeah. Listen, that's from an Astralis shield.
Yeah, but it's still no. I already
there's
said.
only two
I already
players
said
from that.
there is. I already said Astralis, Mal's, and VP are like the three that they're most likely to beat.
But even then, I wouldn't say it's necessarily 90%. I would even like 80% maybe, but we're kind of nitpicking at that point. But
I get that. I understand that. It's just that I don't know.
listen, I just think you're underrating Liquid's current
I have
form.
an adage which I've kept for like over a year, and it's rarely been proven wrong. That just always count on NA to disappoint. Really.
Yeah, but I mean the lineup is not majority NA, so you know they can't disappoint.
Great
You
point.
got me there. You got me there.
All right, I think we've covered it extensively enough. Vondus, you want to go next with your 90%?
Yeah. So I think that there's a 90% chance that Joel is innocent.
Well, actually, let me think about that.
That's not my take.
Okay, innocent. Okay, explain yourself. Explain yourself.
No, that's not my take. That was a joke.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
The 90% is I've been no, yeah, I would just disconnect me from the call immediately if that was actually my take. No, the actual take is I've watched MongolZ play this season. They need to make changes. I think people are going. I think 90% chance that they do make a change by the end of the year.
So you're including after the major in this, right?
Yeah, up until literally December 31st.
Okay.
Because I think their best player in Senzu is too inconsistent for sort of sustained success. I think he's far too streaky. and I think that 910 is very similar in that regard. He will have games where he's incredibly impactful and games where he's kind of like a Asian Hulzerk in that sense. He just doesn't. It's just a bit more flashy.
Yeah, I mean, it hurts, but I see what you mean.
Yeah. So, but I think the player that they will replace is Senzu because there aren't really many AWPers in Mongolia, and there's plenty of decent riflers. So I don't know. I mean, I've come to a to a podcast with two people that are big fans of Mongols,
Yeah, I mean,
and including myself as well. So three of us. But so I might have just broken all three of our hearts. But
No,
what
no,
do you
no.
I
lot
don't. I
think?
mean, it's. I don't. You're saying likelihood of it, but I'm just thinking of who they would get. Heseltine, you want to
Yeah,
take this while I think on it?
Sorry, the
Okay.
reason why I think
yeah,
it's
go
so
on,
high
go
is
on.
because I think Blitz and Mara are incredibly ruthless. I think
Yeah.
they don't see the sort of success that they think they should get. I think they will make changes, and they literally kicked a guy and hired his brother. Like they don't care. So
Yeah, they've been historically
Xenia.
very cutthroat about like
Yeah.
signings,
Yeah.
and I agree
It was
with.
what was it?
Oh, go on.
Who was Mazinia's brother? Was it Score?
Azteca,
Bartak?
not Score. Or was it Bartek? I can't
Artak,
remember.
that was it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just for people who don't know.
Yeah, I think
Which is quite
I
funny.
agree. I agree. I think the Mongols do need to make changes. I don't think it would be would be Senzu. I think from the games that I've watched a lot of Mongols, and like the games that I've watched, I think Techno is fucking up the most by far. I think he has like I don't know, like it does suck because he's like one of the like original members of the team
Yes.
who was Blitz, but I can't defend some of the things that I've seen from Techno in some of these games. Like it is actually like the thing that's like made me like want to move on from Techno was that like that game on Dust 2 yesterday,
Yeah,
I
but-
think versus what was it? What team was I was so
Saw?
devastated I actually forgot the team. Yeah, they
Was it
against
Saw, I
Saw.
think?
He
Yeah.
was like
Yeah.
just a total and complete cone on defense, and it was like everyone and anyone could walk into B on Dust 2 and just kill him, and he was just missing like shots that I would be hitting, like missing in CS if I'm playing, and I'm like, you're a salaried pro, mate. Like you can't do this. Like you can't actually be like doing this stuff. And then yeah, of course, he had like a map that previously where he went crazy, but like to like melt down like that on like a like not an elimination map 3 but a deciding map 3 is just mad. Like and like this isn't
He
like
went,
on the
he went
T side
minus
as well.
10.
Yeah, it was bad.
Minus 10.
He had
on one
think
map.
about that. Yeah, it's just insane because like even on T sides I feel like he's lost a lot of his like poise
He
as
went
like
minus
an
15
aggressive.
on Anubis. Oh no, that's Senzu.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, he was awful as
Do you
well.
think-
But
Yeah, go on.
he in
think
general,
that
right?
Hold on, Vondas has got a question. I gotta hear this.
Do you think that Mazzinio stepping up more has taken a bit more space, taken any space from Techno?
No,
I haven't really watched them close
so-
enough.
No.
to
I don't
tell,
agree with
but-
that.
I think on
He
part of
plays
what's
totally different roles.
No,
Yeah.
I don't know if they have. It was a question.
Yeah.
I haven't watched them close enough.
Yeah.
No, they're like extremities players. It wouldn't really.
Yeah, they are playing like almost totally separate from each other
Yeah.
on most maps.
My
No,
theory
what
on
I mean
Techno is.
no, sorry,
Yeah, go
sorry.
on.
I mean, sort of more support and more. Is he getting more support and utility than he was previously? And is that coming off from Techno?
I
Like,
don't.
I don't know
I
if
don't
that's
think
the
so.
case
I
or-
think
case or not,
my
'cause-
what my read on this right now is, and this is why I wouldn't cut Techno. Because I think Techno, while he may not, I don't think he's what do you call it? First of all, to go all the way back, I think the Mongols' result right now is a lot of mental rather than a lot of like individual. But Senzu has like time and time again at this point shown that those issues keep cropping up. Even in the best moments, he's shown that he can frag out, but at the same time, he goes missing too many times for a star player. Like he's been given a lot in this team, and then you just can't go missing that often if you're given this much on the team, right? And I think what happens at that point is I've seen this a few times by now, is that Techno just is forced to step up and do things that he really shouldn't have to do, especially on T sides. Now, I know that CT side was really uncomfortable, but I'm treating that as an anomaly. I think usually he's fairly consistent on CT side. But on T side, I've seen him have to make aggressive moves and take peeks that he just shouldn't have to do. And it's because someone's having a rough time, Senzu's not finding success, and Techno needs to be the one to force an issue, which really shouldn't be his job, right? He should be part of a cohesive plan. And I think those factors combined to me make it seem like I don't know if 90% is necessarily true. And also you may be off on a technicality if they make a move right after December because the major is pretty late, right? But with the spirit of the
Yeah,
statement, like before the next season starts, I think I'm gonna take it like that. So that because otherwise it'll be kind of
I also think there's a decent replacement for Senzu in the Mongolian scene in Yami.
yeah. I also
He's just signed a contract though, so that's unfortunate. But
yeah, but I think they would go to the Mongols. Mongols is like they've got. I think they're probably the biggest org in the region at this point.
Yeah, just however contracts work, God knows how.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully they haven't got the Brazilian contract scene brewing in Mongolia. We'd be in for a fucking nightmare.
God.
But I think it's
I
been
don't
pretty
think
Hopefully
good
not the
so
Russian
far.
sort either.
Yeah.
So I was just checking the stats on the last 5 games played for Mongols, and Senzu is 5th worst in 4 of them, and he's 2nd worst in the only other one. Whereas Techno is 4th in one, 2nd in one, 2nd in the second. Yeah, so he's second.
Yeah, but the thing is,
score,
Techno
second
also
highest
doesn't really
rating
take
in
any
3 of
resources.
them, and then yeah. So I agree with you about Senzu kind of being the weak point. Although weirdly, if you go on the 5 games before that, so games 6 to 10, Senzu was like 2nd or like even like top.
So the point was more that Senzu's inconsistency is the reason why he would be kicked, not that he can't do it. He's just
recently
can't do it all the time, which is the issue.
Yeah.
Well, no, he was doing it last year as well. He would just have events where he just disappear.
Yeah,
Really?
it was been even after he had that really like one great event, he would like it didn't ensure that he kept playing well after that, which is the troubling part. So I think 90% is still pretty high. I wouldn't be confident in making that claim now. I think I would need one more tournament to then be like, okay, then they're gonna make changes even if they keep this until the major. I think you don't I don't want to like jump this horse too quickly. I think there's still a chance that they can like hunker down and talk it out, fix the mental problems before. Because I think if those aspects aren't there and they play as a team, I think there's no theoretical problem. Like there's no mismatch in roles. There's no like the problem is more mental than it is in game, to me at least.
Yeah, I think I can agree with it. They're a very well structured team, which is why I like watching them.
Yeah.
And just in
terms
general,
of
they got
goals and
shooters
how-
low key. Like
Yeah.
they are really skilled. Like
They've all got apart from Blitz, the rest of them have got that really nice snappy headshot aim, which is just really nice to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing
which is why I like Matthias so much.
Yeah, I forgot to also
Matthias
mention.
mentioned.
Matthias. Hopefully, this is the only time. But the thing I forgot to mention is that it also does put a lot of stress on Blitz, right? When Senzu disappears, and when Blitz gets stress put on him, then the calling gets worse, which is we have seen the calling get worse, especially on that CT side when if Senzu isn't showing up and Blitz has to do even more, Techno doesn't have any help as usual, then everything collapses. Like that, if Blitz doesn't need to think as much about his own individual game and can be more on autopilot, then the team like basically just glides. And we've seen that happen at the best of times, but obviously the problem is it doesn't happen all the time.
Blitz is one of my favorite players to watch. He's just incredibly intelligent in the way he finds space and just gets timings. It's just really good and incredibly impressive. He learned it from playing against Asian CS, which is just incredibly unpredictable.
High ping facing against European teams, I guess, is part of that.
Giga based.
Yeah. But I think 90% is just a bit too high for me. But I think I agree with the theming.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll notice a theme in all of mine. They're all pretty much hot takes because why would I?
Yeah, of course.
Have anything other than a hot take? So keep it entertaining. But yeah,
is anyone else got something to say on it, or we move on to my 90%?
I think we've said our piece, right?
Okay. Here's my 90%. Okay, now we're getting to Cologne. I have a Cologne point. At least it's tangential to it. I think this Cologne is FaZe's last chance, and I'm gonna clarify what I mean. I think I have a lot of reasons to lose faith in FaZe, and it's kind of been brewing for a while now. I think Kerrigan, I'm gonna do it like, I know that this was mentioned. I think it was Austin, right, on that podcast that he talked about how bad Kerrigan's stats were. I think you have to really appreciate it. You got to pull up HLTV right now, boot up Kerrigan's profile, and just click on it and revel at the number, the absolute state of that number. Like, I'm gonna do a moment of silence here. Open it up and look at it.
Good gracious.
Live reaction.
Good gracious.
Oh my god. Oh,
It's really
0.79.
It's really bad. Like,
what have they done to my poor boy? Oh my god.
like there's only you can only be so good as a caller, right? And I don't think his calling has gotten that much worse. It's not that he's at his best, right? But he can be at his best in like a big event in a stage, and that's part of the whole rhythm of this team, right? We've been used to this by now. They live together, they die together, they play for the highest pressure on the stage. Kerrigan's at length talked about how, we're at the twilight years of his career, focusing only on Cologne, Kato, the majors, maybe a domestic event. I mean, like a Danish event.
I just clicked on
Wait,
the
look
matches
at the twilight.
part.
There's no light to this stuff.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But
Look at the matches part.
60 ADR. 60 ADR. Oh my god.
Look at the matches.
Really bad.
Yeah, it doesn't
matches
get better
tab.
the more you look. It's not one of those like, oh, but actually, if you look at this angle,
He had a
like, there's no-
0.3 versus FaZe.
Done him the solid of
versus
rounding up
FaZe, you
there
mean
as
versus
well.
someone else, right? He is on FaZe.
versus G2.
Yeah, versus G2 is
But like
embarrassing,
G2 with fucking
So
old G2.
do you think that the point they also made on, I think it was Snake and Band
Yeah.
that Thoro made was that perhaps Kerrigan can't do it without a superstar
Yeah,
player.
that's
Do you
I was
think
about to get into
would
that
brought
aspect of
safe
it.
phase?
The aspect of the team. So
Okay, so I'm stealing your
no.
opinions.
I mean, this is the whole point of it, right? But I think that
Yeah.
they have to, in order. What I mean by that last chance is that if they don't make the grand final of this event, they won't have enough faith in themselves to believe in the major at the end of the year. Now the major is like quite far away at this point. We're in August. Major's in December. That's a long time. FaZe, in terms of keeping the fact of belief in them together, they're gonna have to wait a long time. I don't think they're gonna be like inspired by like a I am Rio. If they win I am Rio, they're not gonna be like, oh, this really boosts our chances for the major. I think Carrie's gonna be like, we know that we didn't take this seriously and the teams here didn't take it seriously. I'm only here for the biggest stuff. And so if they don't make the grand final here, even if they make a semi-final and then lose to a team that like they can beat but they don't, I think that'll they'll put the nail in the coffin even at that like level, like even at a semi-final level. I think they need a grand final. I don't think a roster move is going to happen until then. Like, I think they're basically like a family until that point. But I think we've got Rops's slump is like really awkward. Like, if you want to do another reaction while I'm talking, you can look at Rops's stats. Like, people really don't realize how much worse it is than when he's been at his peak, because they've been thinking about Rops, especially if you've watched Rops for a while.
Okay, boys, if you switch it to big events only, it's 0.81.
Ah, saved.
Keep the cope going. Keep the cope
Saved.
going.
So I've watched maybe so it was like 20 to 30 ROPS POVs.
Yep.
It's just my CS based autism basically.
That's what we want.
So I'm quite familiar with how he plays, and you can tell by the way he clears angles that he's just not playing the game as much as he was in CS:GO. The way he cleared angles in CS:GO was in my opinion the best in the game at that time.
Incredibly methodical.
Nico's up there as well, but it was almost like he had wall hacks, because he would literally line it up through a wall and then just swing, just one tap you, and then just continue doing ROPS things. But now you see him, he's just his crosshair placement is a bit off. He seems a bit sloppy in his movement, which could be CS2 in the sub tick. But
well, I mean, that wouldn't have been how it was good at the start, though, right? Like,
oh, actually, that's a good point, isn't it? Yeah, he can't use that.
Because he's done the opposite of Nico.
He's on a menopause.
Right.
As if I've just come up with that off the top of my head.
We've got to give him the fertility meds, man. We've got to get him. We got to reignite the dying star. One final run, Rops. One final run, but.
Okay, I just want to have one bit of cope for us.
Yeah, go on.
Right? I was
Okay.
looking at his
I love rock,
all-time
so please.
stats. His all-time stats
Oh no.
for worst maps,
Oh no.
and I've only got down to like 50th. But out of the 50 worst games that he's played so far, in his entire game history, 2 of them have been this year.
Okay, but like we're not. I'm not. I
Ooh.
mean, we're not talking about floor here. You know what I mean?
So like
I
I'm just
think his-
saying, he's had a lot of really bad performances in the past.
Yeah,
and
but
he
he's had a
could
lot
come
of.
back on the
He's
upswing.
played a lot, so like.
He's had a 0.05 game.
Yeah, but like, I mean, this is Cope beyond Cope. You know it.
I'm gonna have to
know.
interject here to slander Carragher some more. Look at his stats a bit more. It's 21% with he's got a 21% rate of above 1 HLTV rating.
Oh my days, it's worse than Hooksy.
It is.
So
Oh, no.
that's that. I think that's the lowest I've ever seen, and like I look at this sort of stuff quite a lot. That's unforgivably bad.
Yeah, and that's kind of
God.
The thing is, like,
And
I've seen other
s-
people speak about this, so I don't want to. Yeah, sorry, you guys.
No,
ahead,
you
Vondus.
can go. I feel it. Okay, well,
No,
like I've seen other
I'm
podcasts
gonna
about
conduct
this.
it. Go Vondus first. Vondus first.
Yeah.
okay. So, do you think that do you think that FaZe in general feels like they need to play? Sorry, the players outside of Carragher need to feel like they need to play with more risks due to Carragher effectively being a non-factor in fragging.
Well, I think
Because
that's
I feel like
it's not just that.
I feel like you saw
right?
that in G2 with Hooksy, that players were just you could notice they felt the need that they need to make a play because Hooksy's anchoring B and he is not getting a kill when they push.
Yeah, but the
So,
thing is about
I feel like they might have the same mentality with Carragher.
that's the problem. But I think it's actually like it's also a mentality thing that's going on right now that maybe they're not ready for it, right? Because with Hooksy, I think that everyone in the team knew and he knew, and they kind of played like this, where they knew that Hooksy was gonna basically do nothing at times. They did play around the fact that he was gonna be useless quite often. I remember back in the day, some of their better successes were when if he was holding beyond Mirage, Hunter would be there almost all the time to basically just like pad that area of the map. And it actually worked. Hunter was getting multi-frags there because they basically were like, Hooksy, you're not gonna do anything. But let's bait them into this and let's have some success regardless. He sends himself up banana, Nico gets frags, let's play around it. But Carragher hasn't been this bad this whole time. He's been able to find impact previously on the team. And so that means that now that he is this bad, the structure isn't built like that. They're built around Carragher sometimes having the success. They're not built around Carragher dying and doing absolutely nothing. And so I think that mentality shift just isn't there. They're not there. They're not ready to take advantage of the fact that he's doing nothing in the same way. I think that's also playing into it. But like another thing, like that team had Nico and mondolZ. We don't have Nico and mondolZ on this team. Like who's the best player on FaZe right now? Like everyone's probably got a different opinion at this point, but
It's Frozen.
yeah,
for
it's
me.
probably
Like,
Frozen. Frozen isn't like a hard
yeah.
carry at all.
No.
It's
He's
variable,
a toss-up
really.
between
But that's,
Brokey and
Yeah.
Frozen.
But Brokey also
honestly,
isn't a hard
Brokey on
carry.
rifle is
opinion.
probably better than Brokey on AWP.
Depends where he is. I think he's very good combat AWPer, but I think you ask him to do any other sort of AWPing, he's terrible. Basically.
Yeah, and like during this
So-
entire discussion, we haven't even talked about Rain like at all.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
he's Rain, like, you know, like
he's.
he either
I
has
think he's
it
got
or he
CS royalty
doesn't.
at this point, isn't he?
he's approaching it.
He's kind of in
He-
Crim's zone right now. Like,
Yeah.
He's not as bad as Crims is currently. My God.
how bad is Crim's
please
right
don't
now?
do this to
This
me.
is complete side tangent.
Please don't bring up Fnatic. I've got.
No, I got nothing to say about Fnatic. I'm just
I
gonna
mentioned
check
Fnatic. I
Crim's.
can't take it
He's
anymore.
got a 1 point. Crim's has got a 1.02.
Well, yeah, watch the
so
games.
does
though, mate.
Rain.
That's not
The
legitimate.
eye test
Yeah, but
does
Rain.
not
That's what I'm saying. But
check
Rain
out
is
for that
also kind
player.
of in that realm, though.
I mean,
listen,
I think Rain
the eye
makes-
test helps Rain, and it doesn't help Crim's.
It's okay.
But like,
It's
that's
okay.
facts,
It's okay,
that's
boys.
facts.
Last 3 months, Rain has a 1.03 and Crims has a 1.02.
saved.
Go dude.
Oh, God,
He's
what
better.
a bot.
He's-
What a bot.
Yeah. But
Legend.
just to finish off my point and let anyone bounce off of that, I think that if they can't, because the whole point of FaZe is like we try hardest for the big events. If they don't have, if they assuming that that's true, that they're trying hard in this event, assuming it's true, and I think it is. So if they don't make the final in this event, I think they're just gonna be like, okay, well, if we try our hardest and we can't even make the grand final, like they're not gonna have any faith for the major, and then they're done. I think they're done.
I've got one
I-
thing to say on
Go
this.
on.
So remember how FaZe 2018 like actually just went like essentially like spiritually died, and it was because of two events, the major and Kato finals.
Yep.
Same thing happened here.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say. I think the team like when they couldn't win either of those, I think a lot of players on the team like I wouldn't say they lost faith in Carrigan because I feel like there is still like I wouldn't say a delusional. That's the wrong word, but like there is still a trust there, unlike they had in like 2018 FaZe. But I think Carrigan himself, I think, feels deep down that he can't do it anymore.
Yeah, that's the
I
more
think
important part.
those two losses might have actually
Well, he's-
broken him, in my opinion.
He's been messaging retirement for quite a while, for about a year now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Saying he doesn't know how many more
and-
Colognes he'll play or Katos he'll play.
Yeah. This is the thing. Like,
so,
you saw how
he's clearly
devastated
looking
he
towards-
looked in those losses. Like, I think he
Oh,
knows
God,
his
yeah.
time's like his time is like running out, if not already out, because like he had to get one of those. The major, especially, was very
Yeah.
winnable.
And of course, when
Just-
yeah, go on.
Does Carrigan have a Wooting keyboard? Maybe he could.
It's a good
Not a sponsor.
question.
There are alternatives available. Perhaps he could use a snap tap. Perhaps that could fix that fixed Nico. It could fix Carrigan.
Someone
That's a hot take.
on Reddit
That's
was
a hot take.
They were doing like a snap tap watch.
Apparently, Nico switched to a Razer keyboard in Dallas, and if you look at his stats since Dallas, he's improved quite a bit. So, but there's no point in getting into a snap tap conversation at
I
the
know.
moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Sorry. I'll stop monopolizing the conversation.
No, you've been fine.
All right.
So you what do you think on the actual premise of it though? 90% chance that this is their last chance to try it.
I agree.
That was
100%.
I fully agree. That was nearly my 90% point.
Okay. Well, hope.
Actually, it was my 10%.
Thank God I'm not off the market. I think I'm off the
10% point,
mark
so
on the
spiteful.
rest.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
I think they were. I don't know if Carrigan would go. I think he.
Well, I
It's
didn't
either-
specifically say he would go, but like as a team, I think something would change.
Yeah, they need. I mean, FaZe has gone without like a real superstar for quite a while, and they've gone very far with it, right? Like they've not really had. The thing is, I feel awkward talking about this because I just watched a podcast which was speaking about a similar thing, and I
You
don't want to
wanna,
unconsciously
cycle it.
copy. Yeah, I don't want to unconsciously copy
So-
like other people's takes on it.
So here's the question then that I don't think they got into. Do you think the Carrigan system at the do you think Carrigan at the moment will be willing to adapt his system to a full star player,
Oh, easily.
or do you
I think.
or do you think he wants to keep the same? Or do you think he wants to
Well,
keep
I
the
don't-
same
I don't
system that's been
know.
running for since Nico left, basically?
If tomorrow they had like even, a Monacy or a ZywOo or heck, maybe even take a risk
Don't get
on
into
Simple.
ZywOo too much because that's my 50.
I think they would definitely extend it a little bit. I've seen somewhere else that like Carrigan's been talking about retiring for a while, really, kind of laying hints about it.
Yeah.
It really, like, there's a lot of different ways it could go. I guess it could go. They get a good player in, and Carrigan still IGLs, or Carrigan just goes off to coaching. I don't see Carrigan. I think he's said in interviews, and I think I'm copying this from the other podcast I watched, so I feel bad about it.
I think
but
it's just
I
a matter
don't see
of
Carrigan going to another team.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of what he chooses to do. He really just he has the full reign. I think he could probably be bad if he like ignored his own bad performances, which I don't think he will do. But if he willingly did that, I think he could probably stay in FaZe for like probably maybe even a whole year before they were like, okay, let's get the hell out of this. Like, I think maybe players would leave. I don't think the organization would kick him out until maybe even like the end of next year, and then they would be like, okay, you're like too bad now. At that point, I think he's reached so much of a royalty status, and it's deserved. But at the same time, like, sometimes you hate to see it, even if it is deserved. You know what I mean? But I think it's just up to him. If he was like, this FaZe team will do better with a different IGL. He calls up Sui personally. He's like, go have an era, my son. And then he like calls Simple and he's like, you want to come back? Just I'm bored before I retire. You want to play? And I feel like that would be like the only way that he creates a new final project. If he's just like Hail Mary. So has someone got a bunch of investor money that they can dump into this? Last Dance Me or something. But
where's 10 cent when you need them?
Exactly. Okay.
Fund Carrigan's team, please.
Okay, I think we're done with 90%, right? Who is the Heseltine? Were you at the start for the 50%? I mean, for the takes we're doing in rotation.
Yeah, let's do it that way.
I think you.
I think you were. Okay.
I think
get
he
your
was.
50%.
I've been writing them down so I don't forget.
Yeah,
and he was first on the list. So.
In my opinion, right, 50% chance 9Z make the quarterfinals of Cologne, and here's why.
Mate,
And
this
here's
team.
why.
What is wrong with you?
No. Let me cook.
Will you
right?
stop? Will you stop ucking off 9Z? Like Christ
Dude,
alive.
You guys need to watch
There
this
have
team.
actually been not so bad.
You actually need to watch this team. I'm for real this time.
I watched two House Out POVs, and I was not impressed. House Out people. Whatever.
I don't actually rate that guy that highly, but I'll get into it. DGT.
Okay.
Is legit. He is really good. He is like he and Martinez are like probably like I would actually say the best duo in the Americas. I think they're that good. They genuinely just like have this, especially DGT have like a really pure game. Like they're not. You can tell it's not fluky because like they just have really good like. Go on.
What sort of role does DJT play?
He's more like a lurker. He's like he plays like bit.
Okay.
Yeah, he plays like bit. Basically.
He plays okay.
He's like the lobby lurk on T-Nuke, for example, stuff like that. And I can't remember what site. I think he anchors A on Nuke as well. But yeah, he's more like not like an aggressive player, but he just lets the game come to him, gets the frags. Usually, like his multi-kill. I don't actually read stats that much, but his multi-kill percentage must be insane because like every game I watch him, he's getting like a triple kill, like pretty much every other round. It's insane. But yeah, I think this team's like weirdly well coached. They were like really bad at the start of the year, but like I think they took the losses they've had like at some of these qualifiers like really well and like learned from them. And they've developed like these players who like have come from like pretty much total obscurity. And like what's even more weird is like they lost like their most recognizable player Try, but they actually just like got like 50% better, like just over the years anyway. But this event, like I'm telling you, there's something in the water for this team, and they're gonna show that Dallas wasn't a fluke because like I'm just watching them piece apart like online teams as well, like back home, and the team they faced here, 3D Max wasn't even a bad team; they just destroyed them. So yeah.
What about this team feels different to like an Eternal Fire or even MongolZ that sort of Ansel that sort of peaked at one or two events and then just went back to being
their structure looks very rigid. Their structure looks really rigid compared to like Eternal Fire, who's literally like Eternal Fire is literally just Xantaras get the kills, and like, but no, this team actually does have like, this team actually does have a play and they run strats and they're not just like getting lucky. Because I want to shout out Matt
IGLs from the academy team, isn't it?
Matt, yeah, I think so. No, Max has been on the team forever. He's been on the team.
Oh, is he?
The IGL. Yeah. He's been on the team for like 4 years. But yeah, I want to shout out Mad Lee for pointing that out because like they actually play with like good fundamentals. They're not just like cheesing stuff. But yeah, the only concern I have is I want to see more out of Martinez because he has been like They haven't had a lot
Is-
of time to
'cause-
show their CT sides, but they will show them, I think.
When he was in Movistar Riders, he's very
Yeah.
streaky, wasn't he, Martinez?
Mhm.
So
I want to see more consistent
CS2,
growth, but other than that, I have no complaints about this team. And so Peak's a bit inconsistent, but
Yeah. Okay. So,
everyone else on the team I have no problem with at all.
okay, so you're saying
And they're really good.
quarterfinals, so playoffs. So obviously, Cologne
Yeah.
6-team playoffs, right? So it's going to be a little bit harder. Obviously, I need to restate the fact that the competition in Cologne is going to be pretty crazy. I'm just looking at the LAN BO3s because it's going to be BO3s the whole way to make it there.
Mhm.
Even if they have to make it there first, they have to be MIBR. They can probably be MIBR, so I'm going to skim past it.
Yeah.
Because apart from Insani, MIBR has been not newsworthy in this
They're
slightest.
woeful.
Yeah,
genuinely
they're the same
terrible.
team for like a year. It is what it is. But okay, at the
I
start of
don't
the
know how they've still got Exit as a caller.
yeah. Well,
I don't know how they've still got Exit as a caller. It's just awful.
okay, so at
Anyway.
the start of the year, they lost to BO3 to Heroic. They lost to BO3 to OG. But since then, they lost to G2 in Dallas. We will mind blank ourselves on G2 in Dallas. And since then, I mean, it's not been, apart from that Dallas run, they haven't had that many chances in the first place. So, like, there's
They
only so
barely
much you can
competed.
do.
To be fair.
But they have won every single one since Dallas. In like, they won that Fire League event flawlessly.
I'll
like-
also add this caveat. They've been boot camping in Europe for like, I think, a month.
Okay, well, I mean,
So-
that's how you would do it,
Okay.
hopefully, right?
Yeah, that should be
Well,
normal for every team, but
Heseltine?
I'm just saying, yeah.
I'm going to need you to defend this. They lost a map. They lost
Yeah.
a best of one to Ninjas in Pajamas, and
Mhm.
Alex top fragged. How can you
Listen.
explain that away?
Well, it's because Alex
I can
can trash
explain.
talk in the native language well enough.
Was that online?
Oh,
I can't remember.
no,
Was that
online.
Oh, it was online. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't
Fire League
know.
Global
I think-
Finals with the crowd cheating. Not that I'm. It's not that I'm angry that Fnatic lost.
No, I think they're just taking every. I think they're just ramping up really quickly and faster than people expect. I think
Okay.
they've obviously taken a lot of time to probably like learn from that. I'm not
See,
gonna.
what you're
they
doing
can
here is-
lose, but I think this event is there's something in the air, in my opinion.
The thing is that you're making the classic mistake which stockbrokers also make, which is line's gone up rapidly in the past. That means that it can overtake all the big companies, except replace companies with teams. Just because they've had a rapid improvement in tier 2, that doesn't mean they don't have like a hard ceiling when it comes to T1.
We haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
to be fair.
that is, to
Yeah.
be fair, we don't know. But
We don't know what they're like.
I'm saying
their peak is.
historically we have seen
I mean,
the
who-
same
Oh, no, I agree.
like rapid rise with a lot of teams, and then them reaching a hard cap when it comes to T1.
okay, so
I'm just
Who's their
saying what
coach?
I see.
Okay, so I'm
I
gonna
watch these
say-
games like quite heavily.
I'm gonna err on the side of they won't repeat the upper bracket run into sneaking the playoff spot by virtue of being in the upper final by winning those. I think they're gonna probably end up in the lower bracket, whether it's at the opening round or the round after. I think that's probably fair. And then at that point, we're looking at which teams from the play-in would be able to beat them. I don't know necessarily. I wouldn't put them on too unfavorably against like the best teams coming out of the plane. I think they stand a chance. No, it's not gonna be high. I don't know, above 50% or even at 50% is, I think, pushing
You'd
it
give
for
them
me.
more of a chance than someone like Liquid.
I would. That's tricky though.
They've been around longer.
They
and there's more
have.
synergy. That's their strength. And as I said, they play actually with a system. So like they know
Energy
each
can
other
match
well.
that
But
all
they-
you
but
want.
isn't
right
there
up
also-
until
isn't
you
there
get
also
punched
more
in the
tape on
face,
them?
That is fair.
I think if you're talking about Liquid versus 9Z as not against each other, but as prospects to make it to playoffs, I would put more into Liquid just because they're a newer team and they're feeling themselves right now. Whereas 9Z, their form is probably
You've probably also got better firepower, Liquid, right?
well, there's good firepower on 9Z. I'm not gonna say there isn't, but the difficult thing is I don't think we've seen them like with the spotlight on them, and then they also have to frag out in the same way. Like that Dallas run, nobody expected them to do it. and teams definitely slept on them. I think that's 100% like a lot
That's
of
valid.
what happened there. There's going to be a lot of eyes on them now. I don't think anyone's going to underestimate them after the result in Dallas, right? If it was like another land that people didn't play in, but it was like it was an eye, yeah. People are gonna see it. People are gonna pay attention to it. They're definitely gonna watch demos. They're not gonna like. It's not gonna be like, oh, random South American team. Let's just treat this as another day. And I think that's gonna be the biggest reason why I'm gonna say it's not. They're not gonna. It's not gonna be 50% that they're gonna make the playoffs. Just because I think the pressure is on now more than it ever has been. Even internally, I think they're gonna start expecting results a little bit. I think they're not that you can only spend so long going like we're the happy-go-lucky, underdogs, and no one expects anything from us. But I think they also expect themselves to do a little bit better, and that's gonna play into it as well. I'm not gonna say they're gonna go out last place. I think they will win games, but I don't think playoffs is 50%. I think you're looking at maybe a 25, 30%. I don't have that much faith in them.
Also, I will say their run in Dallas is deceiving.
Of course.
I think because their first team they beat was MongolZ in a best of one. MongolZ are, as I've constantly said, really overrated in my opinion. They beat Liquid.
They
in
also
a best...
said they didn't practice for the event.
Yeah, but they also beat
So-
Liquid in MongolZ. You mean?
Yeah, my said they
yeah.
didn't practice for Dallas.
Yeah,
They took a,
Which
they
is
took a break for
absolute
like,
nonsense,
like
but-
2 weeks. Like 2 weeks
yeah,
before
Liquid
the player
always say
break.
that
Like,
when they lose.
lazy bastards.
Oh, MongolZ. Yeah. Liquid in a best of 3 they beat Just, and that was with Cadian still on the team.
Rest up, KD.
And then they did beat Vitality. I'll give them that.
They swept them.
And then they
Yeah.
lost to G2, who that's I'm pretty sure also old G2. Yeah, that was
well, it was
G2 without
G2.
Hooksy with Stewie 2K.
Yeah, that one isn't as
I don't know,
defendable,
they-
but Nico was literally playing out of his mind, so I can't let that,
Yeah.
we had vintage
And that
Nico for that game.
Vitality, to be clear, was with a ZywOo going 0.85 across 3 maps.
Yeah, I mean,
across
as,
2
mu-
maps.
yeah, as much as we call ZywOo fraud, like, that doesn't happen all the time, especially in groups.
That was
9Z are the Vitality Slayers, what can we say?
Right.
Yeah,
well, they got
Spinks
more
was
than
top
just
faction.
vitality to play, so like.
Yeah.
Spinks was had the highest rating across that best of 3 across 2 maps, and it was a 1.07. Like, I you know what? I do want to take away from their thing. I was about to say I don't want to take away from their achievement, but no.
Yeah, I think you
that's
probably
not,
should.
That's not a run which you should like go like, oh wow, like top 4 at Dallas. Yeah, but you beat like 1.5 teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's
2.5.
it's
I just
better
think
than
they've
what
got
they've
better,
done to date, but still, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, these are
Yeah.
fair concerns, but I genuinely think they've improved. That's my
Yeah,
that's my
I
point.
think they've
From
improved,
just
but I
pure
just-
eye test,
Yeah.
they've actually gotten better.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, there
why
are
I think
some
they're,
there are
like,
some seriously
slept
like
on.
we were talking about whether Liquid could win opening games. I think say you have to be equal, if not more harsh, on whether 9Z can win some of these opening games. Like 9Z against
Yeah.
Astralis, 9Z against VP, 9Z against like if you run these in your head, it doesn't. I don't see most of them even being close to 50-50. I think at most you're looking at 40% for 9Z against some of these teams. At most,
And
right?
I'd say that 40% would be versus MongolZ, because MongolZ on a LAN is. Look, I'm not a MongolZ hater, but like they've yet to prove themselves.
I'm a
in front
mouse
of the crowd.
collapse believer, so that supports my narrative.
Yeah.
But
I think they're just heroic,
I want
basically.
them to get
Yeah.
past this stage of like collapse. I genuinely do, because it would be nice to see a group of young,
do we have any
players
mouse
actually
points?
do
Otherwise,
well.
I don't want to cannonball anyone.
I don't
got none.
have any.
Okay, we continue. I got none either.
All right, who's next?
I mean, that,
Okay,
that wasn't
well,
one
no,
of them, but was it you who was next, or was it Vetoes?
I can talk about MongolZ if you want.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So
Get your 50%.
I think MongolZ in particular won't aren't less susceptible to upsets in group stages. In group stages in particular, because they run such a tight and well constructed system.
So I think
I
I
think
got
if they were
confused.
playing in
Is this
playoffs,
your
I think
take, or are we
they'll
just
probably
talking?
lose. No, we're just talking about the 9Z.
Okay, my bad. We'll continue.
That thing. But yeah, that's basically my view on it. Is
Yeah.
that I think MongolZ are just a structurally better team and makes them less susceptible to upsets.
Yeah,
And I don't think 9Z will have the experience to be able to adapt to that.
Yeah, I think they should be
Like,
happy
there's
to
no
at least
structure
win
in South
games.
American CS.
Like if
Yeah.
they beat like if they beat two teams in like the lower bracket, or they get one away from playoffs, and they show consistency even without making playoffs, I think that's going to be the signs that they need. I think I think expecting or like predicting them to make playoffs, I mean 50% is still just too high for me.
Okay.
Yeah, no, yeah, too high for me as well. I put it about 20.
What percentage would you say? 20?
I would say
Yeah,
20.
20.
Yeah, 20 is fair. I was about to say 25, but that's still like 16 playoffs is not
Yeah,
actually.
look at Vond as the thought leader.
Of course.
If it was 8, though,
yeah.
I'd be even more confident. If it was 8 team, I'd be even more confident. Put it that way, but it's not. So
I'd understand
I've
if
gotta
it
be
was a
risky.
Oh
10%.
yeah, 'cause there's more teams.
I'd
course.
understand
Because
if
there's
it
more
was a
chances for
10%
them, you
take,
mess.
but like these groups are looking horrific. Like I
No,
think
the
this
one
is
looks
probably
bad, the
one
other
of the
one's fine.
strongest. Group A, I think, is one of the strongest groups we've seen in like recent events. Really,
It looks like a piss take. That group A does, but Christ.
it's just like, okay, your weakest team is Astralis, who admittedly is a coin toss as to whether they'll demolish you or will get flattened. But like, other than that, fucking hell.
Everyone else is on an upwards trend, and then who's Group B, everyone else is on a downward trend. It's like, great, great, love that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think we've successfully called him a fraud. Let's move on. It's fine to be a believer in South American Counter-Strike sometimes, in moderation, I think.
I believe in
Yeah,
certain players.
like
I
with
just-
all
I
with
just
all drugs,
can't.
take your NA copium in moderation.
Yeah, a few too many hits and you're signing for into a 5-year contract, So you gotta
Oh my god.
keep him up. How long is Fallen's contract? I have to check after this. Anyway, see if was it your 50% up next?
If you want, sure.
No, well, I'm not asking.
Um,
It's an open ended. Von, do
So
you have
after
the
just
memos?
bigging up,
Yes.
Yes.
okay,
after just
okay,
bigging
Yes, it
up,
is. Judging by my notes.
Yeah.
after just bigging up Group A, G2's honeymoon period, 50%, will end at Cologne, and they'll go out earlier than expected. I think it's a fair bit of G2's recent success can be attributed to MongolZ overperforming and Nico regaining form. It is great timing because monozZ seems to have been on a downward trend recently. He's still an amazing player, don't get me wrong, just not the best in the world at the moment. And however, there's already been signs of MongolZ slowing down recently. Like if you go on his match history, I mean, sure, he got a like 1.44 and 1.38 versus Nip, but that's Nip. Like even when they beat FaZe, he had a 1.55 in Nuke, but the other two maps were like 0.8 and 1.06.
In all fairness to him, he's playing ramp in Nuke, so he's not.
Yeah,
really
that
seeing a
is
lot of
pretty
action
good.
playing
on CT.
Nuke
Yeah,
was
in all
the
fairness.
one he got ridiculous rating on.
Yeah, no, but he doesn't. I actually watched that POV this morning.
Yeah.
If we're talking about was that the Esports World Cup? Was that the game on Nuke versus FaZe?
Just double checking. Lost promo 4 groups.
Because I think
it was a
that's the one I
CT
watched
side
then.
Nuke
It was
against
the-
FaZe. He went
it was
17
It was on the
3.
1st of August. It was on the 1st of
Yeah.
August the game was played, so it's probably Blast.
Yeah, it is
I watched
Blast.
the POV of that this morning.
Yeah.
His POV of that this morning. He was just unreal. He got a 4K
Yeah.
versus AKs with an MP9 from ramp on B down to silo. You kill 4
But,
players
like-
Yeah, but
you
that's
kill
not.
3
I don't
players
think
like
that's
that
going to
and one on
happen
ramp.
much more frequently.
Yeah, I don't think that's
no.
reproducible. Like,
So
is my point.
no, that's definitely not. No.
Not
agree with you
that
there.
specific scenario, but these sort of numbers, especially in the positions that he's running at the moment, kind of quite very much not exactly positions which you are expected to get a lot of kills. And I think the
On
you know,
T side,
the other
more
side, of
positions to
course.
get kills.
the other side of this, of course, of the 50% is, if Hunter and Nico maintain recent form, and if Monacy regains form, which is kind of a weird thing to say considering he's still great, but you know what I mean. They could have a deep run, but that's why it's kind of 50-50 for me. Like, I think that the honeymoon isn't going to last much longer. I mean, I was right about the honeymoon getting them to like a really deep run from the past episode. Maybe it can last one more event, but I don't see the honeymoon lasting much longer than Cologne at the latest, I think.
Yeah, Heseltine, I'm gonna let you speak on this because I've got like a mini rant on snacks brewing.
Yeah. Okay. I think enough tape exists on G2 to where they are beatable, but I think the problem is, even if like a highly strategic team who has like a great coach can break out on all their rounds and like find out any threats for them, the problem is they're just too skilled at the moment. Like, I actually think like we could be looking down the barrel of like last year's Cologne being replicated genuinely. Like, their shooters are just that hot right now. Like, I just don't like. I think a bad result for the team in this form would be semis, and I think them getting grouped would be crazy. Even if they are in the harder group, I don't think they're getting grouped. I think that'd be ridiculous. But I think there are valid concerns for sure with this team. Like, this team, like I'm higher on this team than most people, but I admit there are definitely concerns. Like, their T play is very much based on if like mobs can actually do something on like early rounds. And if it doesn't work out, it's just pretty bad. But the thing is, I don't think they've actually been tested yet, besides Na'Vi. Like, Na'Vi are the only team that can actually push this team to their limit, and they're the best team in the world with the best IGL and best coach. So, yeah, you do need a lot of prep to like actually find ways to take down a team with this many like skilled players.
Yeah,
But that's what I'm saying, is that I don't think that level of skill is going to be maintained.
yeah. Okay,
So from
Yeah, go
the sorry, I'll let you. No, you go.
yeah, okay. So here's the recently fueled snacks rant. Right now, I'm sure some of you, probably all of you, have seen that snacks quote that was all like, "Oh, G2 was playing 4v5, 3v5 sometimes. It's okay if I make some mistakes or die a bit." Like, he doesn't understand why the fuck he's in this team. He doesn't know what purpose he is in to join this team. Like, you joined to replace the guy that everybody complained for 2 years was a 4v5 candidate, was an individual liability, right? That was your entire
That's
purpose,
facts.
was to not be that guy. And then you join and you say some shit like, "Oh, it's okay if they're playing 4v5, they're used to it." No, you joined so that they wouldn't play 4v5. Like, it makes absolutely no sense.
I will say that they were playing 3v5 really because of Nexa. Now at least
Yes,
it's a 4v5.
okay, but like, he's not replacing Nexa. You know what I mean? So there's
I'm gonna tell Donna you said that.
exactly. But like that also, I think 50-50 is like the perfect place to put G2, because they're a 50-50 team. I mean, they've been a 50-50 team this whole time. They've never had that consistency. And with Snacks, I don't think it's gonna get any better, right? I think Snacks individually probably better than Oxy, fair enough. I think his decision making and the way he plays on this team, his instincts just don't fit with how the team wants to play. He still feels like he is like a focal point of the team more than he is like in reality. He still goes for plays, he still requests a little bit more resources than he should. And it just doesn't make sense for the long-term future of this team. Now, granted, that could change. I just don't see it changing. There's no like impetus in this team to actually change that now. Like, I don't see Taz leading that force in this team to do that. I don't see Taz doing anything, frankly speaking. But like, we can
Base take.
MongolZ update. The
Yeah.
first map's just been over and we've been absolutely wrecked. Techno and Senzu got a 1.5 and 1.49.
Listen, that's the problem with making the takes. They're gonna make the playoffs of Cologne now, aren't they? They're gonna make the fucking playoffs of Cologne.
Hey, look, we're using our jinx powers for good.
Live jinxing. We're hitting the next level. Okay.
I've put Techno in my fantasy, and then I jinxed him by saying he could be replaced. So
Exactly.
double jinx, perhaps.
10,
I need to do this
we're
more
in
often.
the 10%. Exactly. But yeah, as for the G2 fluke era, I mean, I think I'm banking on them not doing anything in this event. I think they're gonna lose embarrassingly. They're gonna get a little exposed. Someone's gonna start targeting Malbs on CT side, and he's gonna realize like, I've got individual firepower and flair, but if you get targeted on CT side, it's not just as easy as hit your fancy
Just wait till
headshot.
you get a FaZe like targeted flash
I mean,
specifically for you
I don't
to
know
the
about
face.
FaZe, but like,
I was more referencing when FaZe made that specific flash for
Yeah,
Simple
yeah,
back in the
yeah.
day.
I mean, Simple is worthy of a full utility set, basically. So
yeah, like, I think right now Malbs
so-
is being bailed out by individual aim in his CT positions, despite maybe not playing like the
yeah.
best style of it.
Yeah.
So from the POV I watched, he, especially on the CT side, he seemed to not really. He seemed to be more of an aggressive anchor sort of play. He was playing ramp, so it's not really
Yeah,
that much of an anchoring spot like in certain rounds. But he seemed to want to push for lobby control quite a lot. And then when he didn't do that, he'd try and push for control, maybe outside or through secret. Sorry, but his decision making seemed quite just weird. Like he would look like he was going to push a smoke on an anti-eco and then just like, no lads, bugger that, just shift walk back away, and then just jump down ramp and make a load of noise. He's like, I don't know what the fuck the point of that was, mate. And then he goes on and gets a 4K with an MP9. So he's just, and it's like the most ridiculous, like just spray transfer, instant headshots you've ever seen in your entire life. So his mechanics are definitely bailing him out, and I think he's going to need to learn a lot from. I think he's going to have to develop a lot in terms of an anchor, and in terms of knowing when to push and when not to push. Because I think that was an issue that came up even in a game that he was performing very well in. I watched a podcast with King T, who is in my opinion, the best like sort of demo reviewer on YouTube,
yeah,
and he
we're
said
big fans
that
of King T.
when he did big fan to King T, I give him £2 a month. He can, I don't know what he does with that, but he can do whatever he wants for his excellent content. Well worth the price. But he did a demo review on MongolZ a while ago. He said that he was the only player that ever commented on it, and he said, "Thank you for the criticism. I want to improve." So I think he's got the mind. He's definitely got the mindset for improvement. So I have the confidence that he will be able to do it. It's just how quickly will he be able to do it?
At the moment, what can be done is, of course, the tricky
Yeah.
part of it, and I think
And
that's where G2 will
I
probably
don't
fail.
ne-
So I agree with the take, is what I'm trying to say.
I don't necessarily believe that Snacks or Taz will be able to teach him that though,
No.
because I think Snacks very much is stuck in the past. For people who haven't watched him in his prime in VP, he still seems to be trying to do the same shit, like just sitting in smokes, just being an awkward bastard, just in the corner somewhere, just
still got a bit of that
really
heroicism
thoroughly
in him
annoying
still.
player.
Would you say
Yeah,
he's sitting
and
in the smoke so he can eat some snacks?
No, because he's pushing through and dying, and then he's eating snacks. Like,
yeah.
Mm.
That's what he just wants more freeze time so he can get those Doritos in.
yeah.
But he's
Unreasonable.
I don't know. I think he's still got a bit of the mentality of a star player, which is an issue.
Yeah, I mean,
Because he's very much not
coming
that.
from Game Elysian into this team, that would be the ultimate shift, right? In Game Elysian, he was basically going like, I gotta do some stuff more than he has to do in this team. Like,
he was in star player roles.
yeah, exactly.
At least on CT side, I can't really remember T,
Yeah.
but definitely CT. But I also agree with you as well. I don't know what the fuck Taz is doing. Like, I just like, can you tell us anything he's been doing? Like,
But like that,
the event they won, Huxley
yeah.
come out and just goes, "No, I was the coach for that, lads." Taz just whipped the coffee round.
Yeah, but who's gonna come up with the tactical innovations on this team? Like, who's gonna?
There's
it's Nico. Exactly.
You should have got Barry or something.
I'm still of the opinion that Snacks is just a temporary solution.
I mean, he's a temporary
He's just
solution.
a duct tape.
Yeah.
But
Hello. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I agree with that as well. I think from what we kind of, I think we might have brought this up before, but I think G2 are going to probably have to, unfortunately, sell some of their players next year because of just like the fact they will be outpriced by various organizations, and they won't be able to keep both Nico and MongolZ unless they literally like just hire, like they literally just like plug and play their academy team into the team to be able to afford like Nico and MongolZ, which is just a terrible idea. But
yeah.
yeah. I don't think they can keep both of them, so they're like using Snax as like just an interim IGL, and while they like get between this era, the Nico era G2 or whatever comes after. But yeah,
Yeah, it's
the Nemanja era.
Yeah, it's G2's fault, it's just that their players want to join an organization that's a bit more well-oiled, They just gotta really no takers. Okay, I see how it is. I'm gonna move on to
Okay.
ending the podcast. No, I'm just kidding. Vondus, I think we've covered that one fairly extensively. Vondus, your 50%.
Okay.
Give it to us.
This one's going to hurt some people's feelings.
I'm sure it is.
There's a 50% chance ZywOo is the biggest problem in Vitality and the reason why they aren't winning.
50%.
50%.
Is this because of his usage?
Explain yourself.
Yes.
Explain yourself.
Well, part of it. Okay, so what was everyone saying about Cloud9 last year? Oh, bloody hell, no bloody AWP. How can we expect them to be good? Vitality have got no AWPer on the T side. ZywOo rifles on the T side, and he occasionally AWPs on the CT side. He's more of a hybrid, really, and I think that is hurting the team a lot more than people realise. I'd expect. So a lot of people will say Apex is an issue. He's not calling well enough. He seems angry at the players or just pissed off in general. And to be honest with him, I can't really blame him. He's having to effectively make two playbooks, one for when ZywOo wants to AWP and one for when he doesn't. And then you're having to rely on however ZywOo wakes up that morning on which one you're doing. So you're diluting your practice, you're diluting your strats. And if you look at Vitality, they do a lot of proactive plays on both T and CT side, but a lot of I think a lot of that is because they don't have an AWPer, because you saw a lot of that in Cloud9 as well. And because ZywOo has basically no impact with the AWP, they getting run down by other AWPers, like Martinez even ran them down in a series, which is like... I mean, he does struggle to get Spanish-speaking AWPers. Like, he got defied by some players every time they faced. So perhaps it's just the Spanish-speaking AWPers. Perhaps someone needs to get a try. So people are also saying Spinks is less impactful. But again, I think if you're used to ZywOo getting... He's had a bit of an up. I mean, people criticise Spinks anyway. He is
all the time, yeah.
He's very much a stats player. You can't really say otherwise. But I think his plays where he looks a bit stupid, I think some of them are coming from the fact that he's just like, there's no AWP. They can't get like effectively a free pick. They just need to really work on it. And I think Spinks suffers from that a bit as their star rifler. So I don't know if anyone else agrees with that. I would assume most people don't.
I think it depends on the framing of the word problem, right? I think problem kind of, if you're considering it as a limitation to their success, I think that's true. I do think there is a few structural issues that can be fixed, but the easiest thing to fix by far would be to just like force ZywOo to do what he doesn't want more. I think actually I'm gonna say I agree, but I think the framing is also should be on the leadership of the team, that they should be forcing ZywOo to do things instead of just like bending to like, oh, ZywOo doesn't want to AWP, he wants to rifle. Let's make our best player feel comfortable. Like, I don't think they should.
Yeah, no.
They shouldn't be doing that. It doesn't make sense.
Well, apparently he's making close to $1 million a year in salary.
Right.
And just like, if you're making that much money, mate, just fuck off.
Is it in his contract? Like, I'm only gonna join if you don't tell me what to do with regards to buying weapons. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Well, that's just such diva bullshit. He's got an people say ZywOo doesn't have an ego. I swear to God he does. So there's no one that would like. No, I don't feel like AWPing today. Sorry, lads. Just like, fuck you, I guess.
Is that an ego choice, or is that like you wake up on the wrong side of the bed choice? You know what I mean?
Look,
is it just like
selfish.
a whimsical
I think selfish
choice?
then is that...
In the end, does it matter? Like, the intention is different, sure, but the result is the same.
Yeah, I mean, I think you keep ZywOo and just make him rifle. To be honest, I think you just get an AWP.
Yeah,
but
that's
I don't
literally what I
know
was about
who
to
you-
say. I think
I think
But
Vitaz.
the
I
thing
think
is,
you
when
keep
he
Apex and
chooses
make
to
Mezzy.
fucking AWP, he's like
This might even be more of a hot take. You kick Apex
Yeah,
and get
I was
Mezzy to
gonna
IGL,
say.
and then just get an AWP.
Well, actually,
I
you know
actually
And you
agree
what?
put
with that.
Mezzy in Apex. You put Mezzy in Apex's spots because Mezzy can play those
No,
spots
you
quite
kick.
well.
No, you kick Apex. You move one of Flames or Messi to the rotator role, so they can actually do something, and then you get an IGL who will actually tell
Or actually
ZywOo what to
Flames.
do. Like, I think that people
Yeah.
people have been saying this, and this is actually maybe I'm gonna come out people who disagree with this, but people are saying like, oh, let's get an AWP and let ZywOo rifle. But like ZywOo is one of the best AWPers in the world if he AWPs. Just get someone who will make him AWP and let the team work like that. Like it's okay. The ZywOo, you can just tell ZywOo like it's fine. You feel a bit uncomfortable. You know, when you wake up every morning, look at the trophy that you won by AWPing, and then go like, oh, I'm so uncomfortable. Like, you know what I mean? You have to frame it in the right way. You'll be able to convince him to AWP. I think more of the problem. I'm gonna say I disagree with it. I think there's a lot more problems in the leadership of the team that is not making him do things rather than because if you let a player do what they want and you're part of the leadership in the team, is it the player's fault or is it your fault? I would say with ZywOo, you know that ZywOo's like gonna listen to you. I don't like the whole point of the entire team has been that ZywOo basically does what you want him to like a detriment, to the point where ZywOo was entering and Apex had to be like, no, don't enter. Why can't he extend that to like, no, buy an AWP? Like it's the logical extension.
That is true. That is true.
Apex 100% said no, don't enter. He didn't say no, let me entry. He's just like, nah, boys, I'm throwing the flashes this time, lads. It's like,
yeah. So I'm gonna say I disagree, but like on the principle of flipping the dynamic, not on the principle of like I see the point. Is basically what I'm trying to say.
What
I
was
feel
the
like after we
exact
call that
phrasing
Taz, we've
of
got to
the
call
take
that
again?
X-Taz.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a 50%. There's a 50% chance that ZywOo is the biggest problem in Vitality, which I realise is a hot take. I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not backing down from that. But I think it is. I think it's I think not having an AWP is a bigger issue than people realise.
I think it's
especially
definitely a massive issue.
Because I've watched CS over since late 2014 all the way through basically, and every team that has like a hybrid AWPer or an AWP or just no AWPer just always struggles.
Yeah, like
So
I would definitely say him not showing up is the thing because
actually,
like
apart from Nip, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Nip was
because
decent.
he's gone games without AWPing, but he still pops off on the rifle and carries vitality. I think the biggest issue is not necessarily ZywOo not AWPing, it's ZywOo not showing up. Like he seems to have this weird amount of inconsistency where I don't know. I don't know if it's like he doesn't try as hard certain days, or just like bad side of the bed, as you said. But like genuinely, I've seen him carry on using the AWP and on using the rifle. It doesn't seem to matter when he's like really feeling it. When he's on, nobody can touch him. It seems like whether he's using AWP or rifle. But the problem is he has yet to kind of crack what causes that like switch.
It's true.
Yeah.
What you're saying is true. But what I would at least want to see them try like going full Certain mode, like only AWP all the time, and see if that fixes part of what's going on with the system. Because I think I mean going back to your Cloud9 point, right? They couldn't find consistency because they didn't have the pillar of an AWP to build around. If you force it, even if those issues still exist in its game, you at least have more of a foundation for the system that you can still win the games when he doesn't have those performances, and then you can like build up from there. And I think that's also an element.
I think that part of it's got to be in a lack of trust in his teammates, right? Because like,
What has
like
Flames done to
genuinely feels
deserve that?
But do you think ZywOo doesn't trust his teammates?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be something like that, right? Because like, you're one of the best AWPers in the world. I know that actually, I've just been hit by a thought, right?
Dear God.
ZywOo
Everyone
is
brace yourself.
yeah, ZywOo is like in my opinion one of the most kind of autistic in a not in a derogatory
Yeah,
way. I'm
yeah.
autistic myself,
I mean, like,
but in terms of very very sensitive to minute changes, right? And
Okay, I'll give you.
everybody's said that that CS2 the AWPing feels different, the movement feels slightly different, this sort of stuff, right? I feel like the biggest reason for him not wanting to AWP in CS2 is this kind of minute change, which like other AWPers who are extremely good, like MongolZ, can power through AWP feeling worse. But with him, I think it just kind of really messes with his mind in terms of like this is different. To be clear, I'm autistic myself. I wasn't using that as an
no,
insult,
of
but
course.
it's more in terms
we
of like
we don't think you are.
it's more for the internet, viewers.
Yeah.
Don't want to get brigaded. But like, yeah, I feel like he's a very particular person in terms of like everything has to be right. And when something as base level as the game engine seems to be not really in the right place right now with AWPing at the very least, I can imagine
I mean, I
that's
just
like
think I've
a large
been of the
I got
opinion.
a response
Yeah,
to
go
this.
on,
I
go
got a
on.
response to this. Right. We know for a fact that ZywOo does not have that strong a work ethic. We know on record he doesn't watch demos. He doesn't put in the hours like MongolZ, like Donk, etc. What if he did? Is that not like a valid question? Wouldn't he literally just be like?
But he
think
could be worse.
I know he could be worse, but what if he actually did put in the hours? You know?
I mean, that's a
Like
question.
Naf is known for not practicing, and he's
isn't that not like a valid point?
I
And
mean,
I'm sure like having like we've seen historically in like all kinds of sporting contexts when like when a best player doesn't put in the hours like everyone else, it does have like an effect on the team's morale because they see their best guy isn't going into the gym like as much
Okay,
as they are, and they start to feel resentment.
So what
And
you mean
I'm
to tell
saying,
me
like,
is that
is probably-
ZywOo should start idling in CS so that his teammates see that he's playing a lot, and
No, he
then
should just do the work. Like,
no, but the work,
that's-
but like
should
I don't.
start.
At this point, I
Putting the
don't think that
fucking
that's
work.
like an issue. You know what I mean? Like you're fixing or not.
I
It's
think
not
it's
a-
more of an issue than people want to admit, in my opinion.
but like
yeah, I don't. I've. There's definitely a lot of people out there with a lot of base skill, which like they can get away with not practicing, but that doesn't mean they wouldn't improve by practicing, right?
Exactly.
Like it's not this magical thing like, oh, they have been given the god-granted gift of CS playing. They will never need to practice in their lives. No, that's not how it works, right? They have extremely good reactions, they have extremely good game sense, etc., etc., but that doesn't mean it can't be improved upon.
That's what I'm saying.
What
Like,
I mean, I agree with the idea. I just don't know if it works. I would like be down to try it. Like for like 3 months, someone on the Vitality like management team or whatever. Like
Force him
ZywOo,
to,
just
like,
practice
every day.
copy MongolZ's hours for 3 months. Let's see if you do better or worse. Like they should A/B test it maybe if they can convince him, which apparently seems to be a problem that you can't like control ZywOo. Like, but it's like a weird.
You're being paid almost $1 million a year. Like you're fucking doing what the coach says. All right.
Yeah, but like, it's
Otherwise,
even
you're
weirder
benched.
that ZywOo is the player that has this problem when the whole narrative about ZywOo this whole time is that he's the star player without that controlling
ego,
aspect or
yeah.
ego, right? So they're like conflicting narratives. If he has no ego, tell him to shut up and AWP and play normally. If he has an ego, well, let's give up the narrative.
yeah.
Just try and feed
As
into
I
his
said,
ego
I
and
think
just
it's
say,
less
ZywOo,
ego,
think
I
about the
think it's-
rating with the orb.
Exactly. Look at MongolZ. You don't
Yeah,
feel
I think
anything?
I think it's less about ego, and as I
Cultural
said, more about
impact.
he's a very particular player, right? And so it's ego of a different sort, right? It's not.
I mean,
He doesn't.
he's
He's not like, actively trying to be a dickhead, but it's more of like, I really don't feel I really do not feel like playing with the
I don't
AWP
know.
today.
Are we talking about
I
Spinks now?
I goes into the panic attacks if he is forced to use the AWP. I don't know, some
Well,
shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, to get back to it, I disagree with the 50% part, but I think there should be discussions for sure. Not discussions on the roster moves,
Also,
but yeah, go on.
what the fuck is X-Stars doing?
Yeah, I
Hey,
mean,
lad. Like,
He's
boy.
he's
Chilling,
hosting. That's
getting a
pretty much
margarita.
it. He's waiting.
Listen, man,
He's waiting.
as I said, Coach Alex, just wait for it.
No,
It's coming.
he is not coming back,
Coach
brother. Keep
Carrigan.
training. Coach, listen, that Carrigan coaching ZywOo. Now that
No, that would be
now
sick,
you got
to be
me
fair.
thinking.
I'd like that.
Now you got me thinking
But
for
as
sure.
I said,
Carrigan
Carrigan
coaching
is not leaving
Flames as well
FaZe.
would be sick.
Carrigan is not
Yeah,
leaving
Yeah,
FaZe.
ZywOo needs it
So
more than
hang
Flames
on,
does.
hang on. I'm cooking here.
Yeah.
Carrigan's not leaving FaZe. ZywOo to FaZe, Carrigan coach, and
With what money, bro?
Oh.
With what money?
I'm gonna have to just. I don't know.
Bro,
what
They'll-
to
they'll run another
Vitality would
NFT
sell
thing.
everybody.
Sui IGL, ZywOo Orp, Brokey's on rifle, and
Let's just spend
Carrigan.
50 million on a race.
unless Bill Gates is announced as board of FaZe Clan, this ain't happening.
Yeah, like
unfortunately.
Vitality
So,
would hire like the squad of God's Reign and ZywOo if they could save the salary to keep paying him as long as they physically could. No offense,
Yeah.
God's Reign, I love you. But like seriously
They
Sorry,
speaking,
promised
Sorry,
ZywOo a
that
Lego
crazy
set.
gamer.
Crazy Gamer
Oh,
is not even on God's Reign. No.
Oh, Barvey then, that one.
Yeah, but Bobby's actually not that. But listen, let's not get into a God's Reign tangent. We don't need it. That's like beyond my. If I bring up a Indian CS point on this podcast, like it would be miserable.
I think only you or Vondas
Exactly.
would be able to contribute there.
I mean, I've barely watched Indian CS, but I have watched some.
Oh my
Listen.
god, even
Which is-
Vondas has.
I've watched a lot more by virtue of my paid position to watch.
Yeah.
What was that? What was that Middle Eastern team called? I can't.
GG how?
I'm not going to say it out loud unless that was. No, this was ages. Oh yeah, they were
Traffic
actually called
Tashkent?
that. Camel Riders. No, back in the day, I watched
Oh.
Camel Riders,
Oh
No.
wow.
which sounds like a racial thing, but it's not.
Fair enough.
With Pokemon on it. It's just an outrageous name, isn't it?
well, Pokemon was
Yeah.
part
Two-Time
of
was the coach of that.
he was like part of some American team at some point.
Nintendo or something.
Pokemon
Anyway.
was okay
No, I just-
individually, but anyway, but let's
It's a cool name.
let's
Two
move forward.
Pokemons.
Less about Middle Eastern CS.
Yeah, okay.
There's two players named Pokemon.
Wow.
There's two players named Crims
Yeah,
as
but
well.
there's only one R.I.
know
Pablo
why I know
Escobar, whatever that one
True.
was.
Okay.
Rest up.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, it's my 50%, right? We
Japanese
move on
guy.
from ZywOo. We've exhausted that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This
I'm
is
good.
kind of an intricate point. It goes
Mm.
like the wording might be a bit like funky, but by the end of 2025, there's a 50% chance that 9 or more of the top 10 teams will have an IGL who isn't an individual bed shitter. So 1.0 rating or more.
HLTV or Valve Top 10?
HLTV, I would say HLTV. So I'm gonna while you load up the ranking to criticize it, I'm gonna talk about it. We've been living for like a while before now. We've kind of been living in a low fragging IGL era. There was a lot of complaints like that to the point where we praised IGLs for having like a 0.95. And it got that bad at a certain stage. I think last year and around about then we started really digging to the bottom of the barrel. Of course, we had the whole Hooksy discussion. You know, we've had Carrigan this whole time, but his calling made it worth it. And then from that level up, we had like Alexi B, Snappy kind of at that tier of we're getting to fragging IGO. And then if you consider Rose, maybe Apex at certain points, he had his ups and downs, right? But, and Twist is kind of inspiring this in people. I think Stars or Cerebral Fraggers are starting to realize they can take the reins of IGLing and still have a fairly functional team. And IGLs are also realizing that like it's actually better to maintain stronger individual ratings than necessarily have the best strats. I think we're reaching like a common floor of IGLing to the point where raising individual level is becoming more like the return is higher than trying to raise your tactical ceiling, especially as an IGL, not as like a coach or something, right? And of course, you also kind of you have to or you don't have to include the opening IGLs, which are naturally going to have that higher rating, right? But you can take it or leave it on that one. I'm including it, but you can exclude it. Yeah, go on.
I've got a lot of thoughts about this one. So, in terms of fragging IGLs, do you have any idea on which ones they would be? Because I feel like that's going to be a hard.
It's I think
It's going to be hard.
I think
hard
if you
to
look
find.
at the top 10 right now, we're already kind of approaching
Yeah.
quote unquote fragging. I don't mean fragging in like an outrageous way. I mean fragging in like a higher than 1.00 or higher, because we've been living in like a 0.92 world for a while, to put it in stats terms, right? But I think like to bring up the top 10 right now, we got below 1.00, we got Alexi B, we got Carrigan, Apex barely. He's had his ups and downs right now. He's kind of on a down, but he should be higher given his roles as well. And then we have Kicksan, right? They're both on 0.97, Apex and Kicksan, right? But the rest of them,
Chopper's just below as well.
yeah, exactly. He's on 0.99,
Chopper's 0.99.
right? But then, you know, Snacks, as much as he is still on 1.0, I expect that to go down. I also don't expect Snacks to be here next year. But I think if you look at Carrigan, that seems unsustainable to me. Now, VP and Astralis is kind of cheating because they are AWP IGLs, right? So you can...
Just quickly, Snacks' stats since joining G2 is a 0.95.
0.95. So yeah, so he's also in that below that sub-top area, right? He's not I wouldn't call him as a fragging IGL either.
Oh my god. 0.57 KPR, that's horrific. That's like Huxley level.
Yeah, but you go down below. If you exclude VP and Astralis, then you start hitting MongolZ and Blitz. Obviously, it's a fragging IGL. I would say JT qualifies. He's above he's just about at the border of that metric.
I think JT is more like how Snappy was at the end of CS:GO.
Yeah, and I think that's what I would
really impactful maps.
Yeah, and I think we're heading into that era from next year. I just think that secondary callers and fraggers are going to start realizing if they can just take the IGL role and bring in another fragger, I think that's what's going to be the split. Also, because I had it as 9, but then I made it up because we already had quite a few of them at it right now. I can tone it down, but then I feel like that'd be pushing out of the take. Now I'll commit to it.
Do you think any of... Actually, no. Yeah, no, I'll ask this.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Sorry, I just smashed my microphone there.
No, that's fine.
Do you think any of these IGLs will come from tier 2? So I think there are a few that could do a job in tier 1 at least.
I do. I think there's going to be two sides of this fragging IGL coin, right? There's someone who's a fragger who's becoming an IGL, and then there's the natural IGLs who can somehow maintain this, right? Even in the face of that's just the way they structured the team. And I think we're going to see both increase as the time comes. I think for better or for worse, CS2 is shaping up to be a bit more of a fraggers game at the minute, in my opinion.
I think that's just because it's first year, really.
Yeah, but I've been sitting here and waiting for a while. I think we might see a renaissance after next year.
I mean, I've
don't go too much into that.
Yeah, exactly. That's like a whole different.
I've got a point for that.
Okay. Okay. Well, but what do you think about the general principle? 50% chance.
I agree with you there. I think there are enough players that I think could become IGLs and enough fragging IGLs in like tier 1.5 that it could happen.
I mean, I made a similar point a few episodes ago about there being like IGLs who'd never been in top 20 being in or something like that.
Yeah.
That was a giggle, but that was a base take, by the way.
Before Austin Major, we're going to have at least 2 new IGLs in T1 teams who haven't been in T1 teams before. That was it. So yeah, I agree on principle that like we're going to be getting new IGLs. Whether they're going to be fragging IGLs,
well,
I don't know. I mean, we're seeing it
a bit of leeway,
kind of.
So
we're seeing it work kind of with Twists and Device, but they're kind of the exceptions in the top 10, really. So yeah, I mean, I could see it, but I hope that we're going to be getting into a more strategic side of CS as the game gets patched more. Like, hopefully the AWP gets fixed better, and we start seeing AWPers more comfortable with being pure AWPers rather than AWP IGLs.
Yeah. Heseltine,
I think
what are your thoughts?
I've got a response which is just pretty simple. It's like there's just less rounds in the new game, innit? So less T rounds to have to, less strats to make. That's one thing. So like you can get away with having maybe a guy who isn't like
playbooks.
Like you
yeah.
don't have to have a very intricate playbook. Basically, if you like do have like the star players and balance them out role for role properly, you don't really need like you can just pretty much run a team off to get into the top 10 off of just having like good cohesion essentially, which is like acceptable, isn't it? So like I think the take is quite apt. I'd
Yeah.
even increase the chance, to be honest. I think it's more like 60. I think unfortunately the old generation is just going to get forced out just because they
Yeah,
can't.
that's another aspect of it as well.
The drag
You-
factor is just
that's-
going to like
Yeah, players will be
continue to
aging
be
out.
very alarming. Yeah, and as you
That's
said, yeah,
actually
people
a
are going
really
to
good
get
point.
older. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's very likely this happens. I think this is just a trend that we're seeing, and it's going to continue to happen. I think.
Yeah,
Also,
we're
like,
gonna
dudes
get.
like Nico are always flirting with the idea of it
Yeah.
too. So that's one extra name. So
I'm seeing
yeah,
like
I
a
think
Nico
I agree with it big
IGLing
time.
Falcons. That's the kind of thing I'm thinking about. Yeah.
In a kind of like
Unfortunately, I can
rough
agree with that.
way. Like it's not dystopian. What's the word I'm thinking of? In a kind of depressing way. I think we're gonna have a similar dip. Like near the end of CS:GO, we had a really poor period of CS, right? I
Mhm.
think unfortunately we're going to see another really poor dip in terms of strategies and stuff played by teams. Maybe I should keep this for another thing, but I think there's going to be a big dip in terms of strategies and stuff, simply because a lot of the really good IGLs are gonna retire or become coaches, and there's going to be a gap in between then and when players realize, oh shit, one of us has to be an IGL like properly and learn up and you know.
And I mean, we
all
still
that
haven't.
stuff.
We're still yet to see, and it will take a while. And yet we yet to see like an IGL who's
But I think
a
there's
lot
gonna
of
be a
got a
gap.
lot of CS2 specifically. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I think
exactly.
there's
Like, the game's only
unfortunately
been
going to
out for
be
a
a
year.
gap in between, you know, when the last of the good CS:GO IGLs leaves or retires, and when like the next big, you know, CS2 IGLs start to come up. Like we've seen a bit of it in Sui, but like
Yeah, but
there's
Shui was still like he was there at the end of CS:GO as well. Like he
but
won the
also
last
like
land, you know. So.
apart from that, it's one IGL out of, you know, like 20 teams really. I feel like it's gonna be kind of rough to watch for a bit, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
disagree with this, to be honest. I think as long as like we got dudes like Alexi and Blade in the scene, there's never going to be a shortage of like intricate plays.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't think it's. But I think
Like
they're gonna be the exception rather than
There'll
the
be an
norm for a
exception,
little
sure, but I
while
think
at
people will
least.
replicate them.
Yeah.
People want to replicate them for sure. Like,
Yeah.
I think just over the course of time, like plays will just get tighter, and it's just gonna who's actually responsible for it. We don't know. Like who's gonna be the great innovator of CS2 or whatever. Like we might not know because like we don't know how long the game's gonna last in it. So like it's difficult to like really say because we don't know the beginning and end time wise of this game. But I think generally speaking, I think level of play will just improve. Like that's just how it has like naturally. Like it just does in like most like sporting
Yeah, of course.
context.
And the funny thing is, we're kind of like restarting the universe in a certain way. I mean, while I'm on the waffling mindset, because we're going into 2025, we're going into open circuit lands everywhere, right? We're exiting the stagnation era, and then from 2025, we're putting players and teams in the mixer repeatedly. Like
Yep.
we're just kind of waiting for that season where someone's gonna have that innovation. Like I think, and that's why I think we're gonna have to go down before we go up. But I'm still a believer that we will go up eventually. It might just take longer than I thought it would initially. Like I was still thinking like by 2025 we would see tactical stuff like when CS2 first started. Now I'm kind of thinking more pragmatically. It's gonna take a while, but
in tier 2 you see a lot more sort of CS2 based strategy.
yeah, exactly. But I think, and we're gonna see them have the chance to show it.
It's not the strats aren't executed well, but sometimes they've got quite good ideas behind them. So I think teams need to learn more from tier 2 basically, because they're just playing all the time, obviously.
Yeah.
Also, quick MongolZ update. They're currently 11-1 versus FlyQuest.
Well,
Break your heart. Come on your podcast. Break your heart.
It's fine. It's all good. MongolZ, if you don't make the playoffs, listen. This is you have to you've sacrificed FlyQuest for the greater good. You have to make the playoffs, okay?
Please save ins as well whilst you're at it.
True.
Yeah.
Let in free ins from the shackles of FlyQuest.
Just keep Alistair as a jersey model.
Man,
anyway.
I don't know how.
Listen, we could spend all day talking about
FlyQuest.
Alistair. Let's move on. We got our 10% takes coming up.
This is where we
Heseltine's,
get the spicy ones.
This is where we say absolute nonsense. I've got nonsense prepared.
I'm starting. This one I'm sure
I've got
isn't actually that
nonsense.
bad.
Okay.
I think there's a 10% chance we'll see a legendary punish pick veto in the playoffs of Cologne. And I think it's this low because I think, generally speaking, like, people don't really do that anymore. I think most, like, coaches and IGLs just only want to play what they, like, have, like, got the most reps on or most comfortable with. You don't really see, like, IGLs like Carrigan do the most ridiculous, like, chess moves in vetoes anymore. And the reason it's also 10% low, I actually flat out think FaZe aren't making playoffs, so that's another reason why it's not going to happen. But I just think, like,
Are you insane?
It's not that insane. But
on which point? On which point are you calling him insane?
FaZe don't make
veto
playoffs.
I
part-
don't think FaZe are making playoffs either.
Wow.
I think they make playoffs, but just shit the bed immediately.
Woeful, mate.
I think they're losing groups.
I think I think they barely make playoffs and then just shit the bed immediately.
They got swept by Wrinkle and half of Rez. Like, that should be really alarming.
No, that's
really
Alex
alarming.
being a fantastic IGL.
Also, plus like 4 years.
That's
FaZe
one of my
have been
worst
known
takes of
for
all time,
shitting the
that Alex
bed
is a good
versus
IGL.
certain teams. Like, FaZe have been known for just randomly shitting the bed and then suddenly being on top form again. I don't know.
I think it's different this time.
But like,
bro, the amount of times I've heard, I think it's this different this time about FaZe. They're some of the most wildly exciting and also stressful teams to watch.
but this time it's different.
Listen, man, Rob's the
Surely.
push. It's over. Like, we gotta. I don't know what's happening
mean,
with him, but we've talked about
believe
Rob's
you
already.
pointed
on the
to
show.
Yeah. Let's
I'm not gonna
focus
say
on the
that again.
actual
But the
punish
actual
point.
point is that I don't think coaches and IGLs make risky vetoes anymore, and we're not. And like, but the 10% chance is that it will be legendary. I think.
I mean, the
someone will
last
do
time
it.
there was a risky veto, it got G2 out of the major.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just so much on the line.
I mean, as an aside, I don't think this is relevant. This seems like a statistical anomaly, but like the maps played at the Cologne playing right now. If you go to the stats, you go to maps, and you look at the distribution of TCT wins, like it just fucking doesn't make sense. I have to assume this is an anomaly, but I wanted to tie this in because like we're talking about vetoes and stuff. Just for like a second, if you want to take a look at that, like it just doesn't fucking make sense what I'm seeing. Some of them are like very low sample size, obviously, so it's not really. I think it's an anomaly, but.
Yeah. No, go on.
In terms of vetoes, I think punish picks are just harder to do in this map pool right now. That's my feeling. We have like 5 middle ground maps. We have like at this point, Anubis, Inferno, Mirage, Ancient, Dust 2. Most teams generally play. Some, if they're not permabanning it, they're not gonna cry about it if they see it a lot of the time. We've reached that point. And at that point, you're looking at what Nuke and Vertigo are your like funky punish pick maps. Maybe Anubis if you have a pocket like Strat or something. Some teams have other ones, but I think that's part of the problem as well. Is that people have gotten so used to playing comfort picks in best of threes at this point that like you just don't see it.
Yeah, you also usually only get like punish picks when there's something new that there's been discovered on it. So say for instance when there's been a recent big change to a map which the teams haven't necessarily had enough time to practice, like with Astralis versus Liquid in the Berlin quarterfinals rather, for the major, or when there's a new map added to the pool, which is less of a punish pick or something like that, and more a new addition to the pool. Considering neither of those have happened recently to the map pool, I'd say it's less of a surprise
You know what?
I guess
I'm
I mean
there
it's
may be
possible for a team.
you know what? I'm thinking of a Dust 2 punish pick where one guy just keeps jumping on the box and getting frags. This is the vision of the future.
It's not a bad vision, is it?
I mean, it's not really a punish pick already because like Dust 2 is such a fragging map rather than a
I mean,
strat
it's
map.
a punish pick if you punish them on it. Forget about like, you know.
Yeah, but the point is like if a team lets Dust 2 through, it's like unless the team that picks it usually permabans Dust 2, it's not really
No, but like I
gonna
wouldn't say
be
that.
a surprise.
I wouldn't say that's a pun. That's not what I would define as a punish pick though. Like I wouldn't say punish pick is like getting into a team's permaban sneaking because that doesn't happen, right? I think a punish pick would be like I'm trying to come up with like a definition for the framing of it. It would be like picking a map that's not traditionally your team's best map because you believe it's worse for them. Because if you're picking your best map, it's not a punish pick, even if it's their worst map, right? That's just your best map.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So and you would need to pick out of your strengths and into their weaknesses, and then that's the punish pick. I think that's like
Yeah.
a fair.
Or at
Yeah.
least it's into your strengths, but it's not been revealed that it's one of your strengths.
Yeah, I'm
before
saying that
because
strength
there
says in
isn't enough
currently
tape on it.
recorded stats. Like if you're
Yeah,
good at
yeah.
it, then it doesn't show yet, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
10. I think how many opportunities are there? You got 4 opportunities. Because obviously best of 5 can't have one. Or you could have a punish ban in a best of 5, but I wouldn't classify.
I don't
that
think
as
I've
the
ever
same.
seen that happen.
No,
personally.
it happened.
really rare.
FaZe did it
Did it?
like a
Oh.
couple times, right? They did the vertigo thing against Ents.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, but apart from that, I haven't really seen it. So I would say honestly, yeah, I would even put it a little bit lower. I think the teams of nowadays very content to be safe. Maybe it's part of the dying breed of IGL genius that we're seeing right now, but also part of making players comfortable is not going into punish picks. I mean, listen, side tangent, Nico complaining that they picked Vertigo even though they had prep on Vertigo just because like I don't maybe this is like an unpopular opinion, but since we're in the 10% range, I'm gonna use this as an opportunity to dig up Euro trauma that I think star players and players that are bad on certain maps they got to grow a bit of a pair if their tacticians are like we should pick this because there's a weakness. Like I think
That's true.
I agree with you there.
I think being uncomfortable on the map should only go so far, and I think we're on peak uncomfortable on a map territory to the point where people are just playing what's comfortable, and I think that I support your point.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on. Right, we got Swift 10%.
Okay.
Cook.
Talk
One of
your
these
shit.
is one of them's stat based, one of them's vibe based, and I'm not sure.
Well, Vondus, what is your one? Stat based or vibe based?
If you want to, yeah, I can get. No, mine's bollocks based. But
okay, well, that's vibes, right? That's vibes.
I do my 10%. My 10%. If you're struggling, so
Yeah.
if you
Well,
want me to.
Vondus, you go first then. Well, Sif decides.
Okay, my 10% is that I think there's a 10% chance that NPL replacing Chopper improves Spirit.
Wow.
That is delusion for sure. Explain yourself first.
Okay, well, NPL is currently an IGL and bait. Not a great one, I will admit. However, Chopper
Good
is not
start.
a great IGL. He does have a great coach. I think Hallie can basically just program NPL like he did with Chopper to read a playbook, basically. I think he can do that. And he's a far, far, far better fragger than Chopper ever could be. He's played under Blade. He's got the experience from Blade, which is really good. He's gone into the wilderness and found his game. He's not too aggressive. He's in some star player roles as well, I will admit. But in terms, I think he could quite easily switch into Chopper's roles and not have too much of an issue. He's far less supportive than Chopper though, which would probably be an issue because Zontix would probably have to pick that part up, I guess, because actually NPL was quite supportive in Navi, wasn't he? From memory.
He played like kind of a lot of anchor spots, but yeah, generally was.
Yeah. So, but
Okay.
I think in terms of versatility, he's played anchor and he's played decent roles in bait very well, albeit at quite a low level in like middle of tier 2 sort of space.
So just
And I also don't rate Chopper as an IGL. Sorry, I genuinely think he's a bad IGL with an excellent coach. And I think he's lost without Halley.
right, sure,
Sorry.
sure, but like maybe I'm off the mark on this one. Has NPL played? What's the best team NPL has played? Like when after leaving, what would you say?
After leave it, let me find him. Yeah,
Because I don't
give me a
trust
second, I'll
right
find
now. I'm
it.
not in full trust of this like top 30 filter for this. Because when you get down that
No,
far,
no.
sometimes it just doesn't
His
work.
stats won't be that big.
Because like
Okay.
right, I don't
Wait.
want to immediately show it, but like if the filter works, which is often doesn't, he hasn't played a single match this year against a top 30 team.
No, he's played better. No, he's played better Boom.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
saying
so
that.
I think it must be wrong. I'm checking the matches individually now.
So he's Aurora as well, which is a top 20 team, I think.
Yeah, so
Definitely top 30.
there's some here and there.
So 3D Max, he'd have filed 3D Max. Jesus
Right.
Christ.
I think the value.
That's deceptive stats though. That's a deceptive stat line.
I think the value
He
proposition
played really well
just
against
doesn't
Bleed
work.
as well. I
just think
So
they would get so
the
much
reason
worse
why-
because before they get better, and they're not gonna. It would. I think if your point is it would improve them in like a vacuum sense, like.
So I think they'd take a hit strategically immediately. I think MPL would learn and become a better IGL, but I think he's just enough of a better player to be able to counteract that. And I think the style that you've got with Spirit is just basically just players just go shoot, please. We'll support Donk, we'll bait for him, we'll flash for him, but just go kill, basically.
Yeah.
I think
On that
MPL
note,
was
it is
perfect for that.
disappointing. It's disappointing that Spirit haven't like really, they don't really run an exec heavy style, which is actually really sad because like their execs were like literally unstoppable at the start of the year for like especially on Mirage, like no one could stop them. But now they just don't do that
Well,
anymore. and I'm
they're
like,
lost
that's-
on Mirage now.
I know
They
it's so
look
bad.
terrible on Mirage.
It's so bad.
They played a game against Vitality and they did the same thing like a few rounds in a row, and it was just it's like, why are you trying it again, lads? You fucked it up the first time, fucked it up the
Yeah.
second time. Like, what are you doing?
This take is
But-
interesting though. I think NPL is really underrated at the moment. People like still
So-
have like that bad image of him attached to like that V squad that was like culturally
Yeah.
bankrupt. So like,
You know, he's not
Yeah.
going to be putting up like a 1.17 rating if he played in Spirit as an
No.
IGL, but he put up a decent go for it, and I think I don't know. I feel like a younger IGL would be more receptive to being taught stuff.
Yeah, I don't
don't know
think he
how-
would have
how
an
receptive
ego
Chopper
about it
is
at
or
all.
not.
Like I think that would. I think.
Well, I mean, his first coach was his second coach was Blade, wasn't it? So
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think
He would
I think he'll be receptive.
presumably he'd have a lot of respect for his coach.
You know what? I'm kind
Yeah.
of on board now. You've actually convinced me on
And-
this. Because
So
there
if you
is
look
the
at
issue
and
of
also
does
if
he
you
play with Russians? That is
yeah,
the
but that's
issue.
not
Some
really
Ukrainians
that's
don't
not really
do that.
relevant. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I think he has in this team actually. Let me double
Okay.
check.
isn't Bates a
No, he hasn't.
Ukrainian
No, he
org?
hasn't.
I don't think they would.
yeah.
They had I swear to God, they had a Russian. They've had non-Ukrainians before,
Non-Ukrainian,
but
sure.
yeah, I can't remember if they.
Oh, they had one guy called Maddened. who I'm not even sure was a coach or a
They had a
player.
guy
but-
called Kalash as well, which was
Mhm.
from Kazakhstan. The one I was thinking of.
Yes.
But no, it's more along the lines of just I think I really do think Chopper is a poor IGL, and I think he just gets away with it because he's got really
Listen.
really really good players.
Donk has had such an insane rookie campaign. People might be flirting with the idea of putting Chopper in the Hall of Fame, depending how this year goes. It's so ridiculous how good he is.
Like-
I think Chopper is better than you're giving him credit. I don't think he's like,
I don't think it's that bad
major-
either. Yeah.
I think he's got a very
He's
good
not like Snacks
mid.
level. That would be outrageous.
Fuck off.
No, he's better than Snacks.
Definitely. Oh, I thought you meant not Snacks level, as in like he's worse than Snacks, and that's why I said.
Yeah, no, I meant like he's definitely not like worse than him.
Yeah.
Or on his level.
I mean, I think his mid-round reads of the game are actually really quite good sometimes. Like I've seen multiple maps where he's, run circles around certain teams, like they're stacking a site and Spirit are going to the other site, stuff like this.
Okay,
I
so
think it very much.
how do you explain Spirit playing just horrifically without Halley in Blast? They just played far beneath themselves.
I think they don't
I
do
think
that
that
well
some-
under pressure. I think Chopper under pressure is a problem.
It's a
Especially
Blast
without
group
a
stage.
coach.
What pressure is there? It's a
No, but
banana
the-
cup.
let-
I,
What
I,
are you
don't, I
talking
don't
about?
even
Right.
but I don't even mean like high pressure. I just mean any pressure. Like one Halley timeout like
Okay.
resets like it's like what do you call it? If you're boiling
He's
something, you're gonna take it from the
reaffirming
heat.
presence to them.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I think you can have a good IGL who is only good with their coach, but that doesn't mean they're not a good IGL in game, right? Like it's not necessarily a matter of Halley is literally giving them like a sheet to follow necessarily in my mind. It's more of as Backpack said, it's more a reassuring presence or someone to mentally have a kind of as a backup, if that makes sense, rather than having all the pressure being on you. You can at least have someone be like, okay, I know that I can just take a reset and be like, what am I doing wrong here, rather than having to constantly self-analyze.
Yeah, and the other thing
that makes
about
sense.
Spirit is, I think people kind of forget this because of how good the individuals are, but there's not like, I wouldn't say there's a strong, reliable secondary figure yet. I don't put Shiro there yet, even though he's good as an individual. I just don't have that. I don't have that much faith in him as like if you think about what Electronic was in that Navi lineup, right? The good Navi lineup. I don't think there's not a figure like that. I don't think Donk is there. I think Donk is obviously great, but I think we've seen Donk like we've seen him tilt. We've seen him. I don't think he contributes as much to like calling, but I could be of course wrong on that. We don't have that as much information.
It was either in an
Seamless.
interview or in one of the I think in the Blast events they give you let you listen in on the like comms and stuff.
Yeah.
They're obviously all contributing in that regard in terms of like stuff over here. But I do think they're all feeding information a lot into Chopper. But yeah, I do think they're all quite young players in terms of they're maybe not taking charge in terms of like we need to go here.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a discussion about Zontex being
Well, what's
an
the
issue
discussion? What do you mean?
in sort of pressure games? He does seem to drop off a bit in that, and I really like Zontex. I've watched him since the academy team, and I think he's a really good player. I just think he's got nerve issues at the moment.
He does in
Which is weird because he looks like a stone wall. He just the most
I'm
apathetic
gonna
man I've ever
invoke the
seen.
dreaded sample size. I'm gonna invoke that because he's still a rookie. People forget that he's
Yeah,
still
no.
very young.
He showed
I
up
mean,
in
it looked
I
worrying, but I
personally
think
wouldn't
he
kick
can
him.
overcome it.
I keep
No,
him because I
no.
think
Yeah.
he's going to develop into a great player.
Also, he's like
Exactly.
their support player, right? Like they need a
Him
good
and Magic,
support player,
kind
and
of.
he is.
Magic's is closer. If
Yeah.
we're doing
I thought
support.
Magic's was kind of secondary rifle.
I wouldn't.
He
No,
is
no.
on
Magic's
basically.
probably takes the worst of it. I think.
Hunt ecos.
definitely.
No, he's a really eco hunter. Magic says he's one of the worst in the scene for that. Genuinely.
Yeah.
We would have circled back to
Okay.
the base point, right? What was the base point?
That Chopper should be replaced with MPL.
Ah, yeah. Well,
No.
Or it would make him better.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it could be done. I'm gonna say it could be done. But it's such a like leap of logic that it's hard to put a lot
Yeah, I
into
think
it in the
Cousins-
first place.
I could have chosen someone
Well,
more
I think-
sensible like Leah, who was actually a really good IGL. But
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
also, I think
mean,
a really important thing to factor in is not necessarily just about the individual fragging power or the individual like calls. You've also got to factor in the kind of relationship of the players. They all seem to really get on well, and there seems to be quite a lot of trust of Chopper in terms of like
Actually,
following the
give you-
calls.
I'll give you that. I watched an interview with Chopper, and apparently it seems like him and Donk have a really good relationship. Sort of like
Yeah,
a,
he
you know,
seems
like a
pretty
mentor figure.
amicable.
So I'm
Right.
thinking you wouldn't want to like break that up.
Yeah. Plus, also
mean,
you
Donk is
wouldn't
a
want to
child,
replace an
like-
older leader with a young. I feel like if you have 5 younger players, like
Yeah.
that's also a big problem.
Actually,
You do
I
need a vet in that team.
I
Because like
do
if
agree with you there,
Chopper
actually.
already does crumble a little bit under pressure, right? Then like if MPL crumbles under pressure, there seriously is nobody to pick up the mantle at all. Like if the ball would
Do you
get
think
dropped so much
there's
harder.
no more There's no more pressure than simple breathing down your neck saying you're shit at every
Yeah,
interview.
but like he wasn't IGLing
Like-
then anyway. Like I don't think it's
Not just
compared.
simple,
Like,
but
you-
also Blades, to be fair.
Oh yeah, Blades as well. Just like fuck it, this guy's dog shit. Like
Some
I won't say who it
players-
is, but it was the dog shit player. It's like
Some
Cheers, boy.
players really need to improve, but it's some players every single event. And then when you look at the stats, it's like, who could it be?
I wonder which one.
Yeah, I think we could have
I
this. We
don't-
could have
I
the
don't
same
know, I just-
conversation in like a year, and then it would be more than 10%. But I think right now,
Yeah. No, I've got a real problem with over jumping talent. Like I assume they'll progress faster than they do.
yeah, I think because I think you have
So-
especially with IGLs. I don't think you can just like inject an IGL. Like you need a lot of
I think-
prep work for it.
I think you could do an experienced tier 2 IGL. I think
Yes.
an inexperienced tier 2 IGL wouldn't work.
Yeah, because if he's so fresh to the
maybe-
role, like how many lands has he played with Bay? Right, like has
I
he
don't
played
think
a
he's
land with
any,
Bay?
has he?
I don't think so.
I would be shocked if he did.
I don't think they have. I think they're strictly only online, but I could be wrong. I don't think I've seen them any like. There aren't many tier 2 lands to play, to be fair.
Yeah,
but
his
I don't
last
think I've
land
seen
was
them
with Navi.
Next
So,
year, baby.
yeah,
Yeah,
so I would like
I
I
would've- I
would
think I would've known
not jump the gun on even like I like the principle of it, I just wouldn't jump the gun at all.
It was more of an excuse to shit on Chopper, to be honest with you.
Yeah. But like,
If I peel back the
yeah,
mask a bit.
before we move on, like, what's the temperature check? Like, Chopper or Boomich? I feel like most people would take Boomich in a heartbeat
Boomich.
over Chopper, right?
Pretty much 100%.
I actually would take
Yeah,
Boomich.
I feel like
100 times out
Boomich
of
joining this
100.
team, that would actually be kind of interesting, in my opinion. But
That'd be crazy. That'd actually be mad.
I mean, it's not impossible.
That would be bang, mate. Can you imagine?
Yeah. Or a bit of
That'd
Boomich
be
dunk
so
combo.
good.
Anyway.
Oh my god, and they're playing Inferno then as well, because Boomich is great on Inferno.
Exactly.
Imagine Donk on banana.
Oh no, we're never
Oh,
gonna see it anyway.
God.
Well, why would we dream about something we're never gonna see?
Imagine an apps pop with Donk coming out. Oh god. Phil.
Sounds
Yeah,
Hey, you're
please.
coming up, mate.
There we go. Live gooning. Anyway,
Yes.
what do you call it? I got a
No, I should say no. Why did I agree to that? Let's
yes.
say yes.
Let's go. Anyway, Sift, I'm sorry to cannibalize your point, but since I have a spirit related one, I think I'll go on to my 10% here.
Yeah.
Because this is I guess it's technically down on spirit, but it's one of those where you hear it, you think to yourself, this guy, it makes no sense, and then you think about it, and it actually kind of makes sense. So this is a 10% agree, not a 10% probability. So I'm going for the hot take on this one. I think Team
Alright.
Spirit will never win an Intel Grand Slam ever. Now, angle one.
Ooh.
Angle one, hear me out. Angle one is, if you've checked the Intel stock market situation going on, etc., there's a fair chance that the IGS stops existing, maybe even after this season or after one more season, which would actually save my
Yeah.
entire take, right? So I think this is entirely possible. Intel could easily be looking to
Yeah,
They
exit.
could still win it this time.
For
They can
people-
No,
still
no, no.
win it this time.
I'll get into
through
this
the
one. I'll get into this
for
one.
Rio.
Listen to me.
For people unaware, Intel stock is completely fucked at the moment. Like they've lost a huge amount of money
Yes.
over
okay.
over like a faulty product line.
check
So
check him
there's like a
investment
legitimate chance they
portfolio.
stop that.
Anyway, so That's
No,
that's
I was going to
obviously
buy shares in AMD, but too stupid.
yeah. So that was
Legitimately, I was
so,
like,
so
"Why?"
focusing on this season, right? Important to remember. They've won the prestige event that they needed to win for that, so that is ticked. But they're skipping Rio first of all, right? That's an important attempt for them. They have 6 chances. They need to win 3 events. That's 5 since Rio is gone, right? Now we don't know necessarily what the calendar. We know what the calendar looks
months.
like next year, but we don't know exactly what event is like in what region to the point where what they might skip or they won't skip. They probably won't skip Katowice. That's going to be like the first one of the first ones. So you could pencil that one in. Coming up this year, you have Cologne, you have EPO, and you have Rio, which they're skipping, right? They need to win 3 more. Now, they have good chance to win Cologne. I would say it's high. It's not crazy high. Winning EPO, there are a lot of EPO merchants out there that are more likely to win EPO in my opinion than Spirit is because the
Oh,
pressure is off and
mate.
because
It's over
Spirit's
a really long period of time.
yes,
Have you,
exactly.
have you looked at
need
their
a lot
group
of
in Pro League?
consistency.
Have you looked at Spirit's group in Pro League?
Let me
Donk is going to have like a 2 rating against all of these players. It's outrageous.
yeah, but like group, we're not talking about the
He's
groups,
good.
right? I'm not saying that. I'm not saying
No,
that.
no, sorry, no, I was just looking up as you
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about
yeah.
it.
Of
But
course.
sorry.
Oh
But-
my god.
But another thing to keep in mind while you're marveling at that is majors. We don't have ESL majors coming up. They don't count for the non-ESL majors. Don't
True.
count for the Inter Grand Slam.
Yeah, which is bullshit.
Bullshit,
whatever.
but it counts towards my point,
Well,
right?
I wouldn't be marketing a competitor in all fairness to them.
Yeah, but the other side, also, you look into 2025, the season's going to be packed. The chances that they keep skipping events, that they keep missing out on chances for the Grand Slam, because, I mean, if they were prioritizing Grand Slam, then they wouldn't skip Rio in the first place. I don't think it's a consideration for them necessarily that that's what they're prioritizing.
Well, the thing is, to get into Rio, they'd need to go through quals.
They declined the invite.
Right.
So they could have gone to
But-
Rio and they didn't.
I can
Also,
I can see why they
think
didn't
it's
go to
just the
Rio.
travel is an issue, especially with
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they don't want to risk on the like visa stuff.
I don't think it's a visa travel issue. I think it's it was like a rest
I think
issue,
they
right?
declined Rio because of the major. They want to
Exactly,
prep
and
for that.
that's all well and
Yeah.
good, but it also contributes to the fact that it makes it harder for them to win the Grand Slam, right? I think practically speaking, their chances, while it looks like they have a lot of opportunities, it's actually not going to be that many. They're not guaranteed to be the winners of each opportunity that comes their way in the first place. So you have to also factor in the fact that not only do they have to play it, they need to win it. You have other teams, potentially leveling up. And the more that we get into the future, right? I think they're not going to win it this year because they would need to win 3. And then I don't think they literally can't. So then we're looking to next.
Yeah, they literally can't because if they're not going to Rio, which actually helps me decide on my 10% because I wasn't sure if they declined Rio or if
They declined. I'm pretty sure the ESL, they confirmed it on a tweet somewhere. Right. But then we look at the next year. First of all, we don't know how good they're going to be next year. That's a while away. Teams can change, rosters can change, so on and so forth. That's like a flow of the river situation. But I think more events next year, more opportunities to skip events and play other events or reschedule your calendar, so on and so forth. If they're not in a position to win it already, why would they attend more ESL events than they have to if it's opportune to skip them? I think the odds are actually in my favor on this one. I don't think they're going to win an Intel Grand Slam. And I think as the years go on, it actually becomes less and less likely that they do ever win one, in my opinion. What do you think?
I think you're way ahead of the narrative. I think you're right. I think like the odds of them winning one are like actually minuscule when you lay out like
Okay.
that.
I've got points to make
Yeah,
here.
go on.
Yeah.
Firstly, Intel Grand Slam is $1 million prize pool, right?
Yes.
While there's been a big stock drop in Intel, $1 million is nothing to them. Like genuinely nothing to them. They spend like almost $1 billion a year. It's while they're on a downtrend at the moment, I think that's one of the last things they would
Yeah, sure.
consider
But
really
I'm
dropping,
not
especially
considering that
because
the
of
IGL
its
stopped
free
existing as
advertising.
an earnest thing that buffs my point, though. I think even if in perpetuity, I think it
Yeah.
would continue that way.
Aside from that, maybe not this iteration of Spirit. I can kind of agree with that because they might be like, one big move away from making the perfect spirit team, like, you know, in a universe where they could get Monacy or something like that, you know. So I
I
could
think they're one
agree that.
perfecto away.
Oh
Right.
God, Spirit with Perfecto, Monacy, and Donk.
And Boomich.
And NPL, of course.
Oh. And, yeah, MPL leading.
Yeah, of course. Who else would but NPL to lead that team, man?
Would-
I mean, I can't think of a better player really for the job.
Simple.
Why are my
Simple
IGL
IGL.
takes just the worst in the world? Okay, why did I think Alex
No,
was a
you're
good
so far
IGL?
ahead
Why
of the
do I
game
think
that you're
Nipple
behind the
will
game.
make
You
it?
know? In like 3 years, he'll be one of the best IGLs, and you'll be like, I was ahead of my time. But like, if you're so ahead of your time that you're
Simple
wrong, are you
IGL.
ahead of your time? You know, it's like a debate. But
Look, I mean, Matty S will prove me right one day. God, I hope he does.
But yeah, so
Last mention, I
I
promise.
don't know, 10%. I can see that. I can see that, especially with like the like things. And actually, this is really perfect for leading on to my thing.
well, Heseltine had something to say, right?
Oh yeah, sorry.
I think I think you're dead right with this. I think Spirit are gonna. I just don't think that they just haven't played enough, unfortunately. Which is like, it is annoying they skipped that EPL because I think they could easily have won that. And that kind of, I think them skipping that EPL generally cost them the Grand Slam or like any realistic hope of it, because they actually would have been on such a heater with that one under their belt as well, and they would have had more chances, of course. But yeah, no, I'm actually, I think you're way ahead of this narrative. I think people are like, but ever though is crazy because we don't know what things will look like for like.
I'm also banking
for,
on
like, however long
the
this game lasts.
them keeping the culture of not grinding events too much. Because I think there's
Yeah,
gonna be,
yeah,
because
yeah.
I think the Grand Slam, it does lend itself to grinding out events, especially if you target ESL events and do it right. Like if you're a team at the start right now, Cologne and Cologne are at the start of seasons, so you can kind of plan yourself a little bit. Like if you win the start of season like required event, then you can be like, okay, let's grind this season out. Let's see what we can do for the Grand Slam. But I just don't think that.
Here's a
Yeah, go on.
side point. Sorry, you finish first.
I just think that that's the, if that like brain trust mindset keeps going, and I don't. Obviously things can change, but I think the grinders are the ones who are going to take Grand Slams, and I think Spirit will be content, you know, like pacing themselves, being close in the race, winning majors more than, or prioritizing majors more.
Yeah.
I think it's unlikely the Grand Slam goes away. Soon.
Yeah, that's wishful thinking.
'Cause I would be surprised if they didn't. I'm pretty sure they will have prize insurance, so they're not actually paying out $1 million each time. It'll work out a bit less than that. So, and it's a really good marketing thing. Like everyone talks about it for
Yeah.
you know.
And we also have no clue
on a
what it might look
broadcast.
like in the
And-
future. They might change it again.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like literally an iconic thing in CS. So
Also,
yeah,
so
but I do think Spirit's lack of willingness to attend more events will harm them in that. I think that will hold them back from winning one. I agree with you there.
I think ever since Dallas, they've been very hesitant of going to NA events because of the time zones. This is
It
pure
might be visa
speculation.
issues.
but
Might be visa
I think
issues.
it's more the time zones.
Yeah, I think
and
it's
stuff,
time zone
right?
more
Because
than
we
visa
saw how
issues.
they played in Dallas, and like they were definitely not top form. I think with a team like that, we've got a lot of younger kind of kids. Really, you don't want to be having them, you know, jet around the world, not playing at their best, and then constantly away from families and stuff like this. I think it makes a
Astralis
lot of
management
sense.
disagrees. That's an old
Astralis
reference.
management can
Sorry.
go fuck themselves. They were a piece of shit, which, you know, probably shortened the length of Prime Astralis by a year or so. But
God, I
separately.
wish that team was
Another
back.
point I just
Feel like shit just
thought
missing.
about this, and it may actually work out. If we live in a future where I think ESL will continue having events around the globe, but other tournament organizers, like I think PGL will probably not gonna do that much outside of
they like
majors.
to
They're not
stick
gonna
to
go into
Romania
like
and places
exactly.
like that.
And if they stay
No,
in Europe, then
Didn't they run a tournament circuit? Didn't they announce running a
Did they
tournament
announce the
circuit
locations?
at the last major?
Yeah, I think.
No, not the locations, but they said they're running.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean,
next
though,
year.
right?
Circuit. Yeah.
So, but I don't
Oh,
think they're going to
sorry,
host
sorry.
that
It's
many.
probably
to
not
be.
going to be in the same places.
Yeah, but I think it's
all the
going to be
time.
in Europe more often than ESLs
Oh,
will be.
definitely, yeah.
And so that just means that
It's more like it's probably just going to be in Romania, isn't it?
yeah, and if Spirit can
Very
just say yes to
likely.
those all the time, they'll say yes to those all the time because it's perfect setup for them.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and as I said, like
Also,
think-
just a quick note about those PGL events. Apparently, we're getting Richard Lewis as a desk host for those, so that's
Yeah,
fine.
I'm
yeah.
sure Spirit are taking that
That's
into
gonna be good.
account.
so.
No, I just mean viewers. It's going to be nice to see.
Yeah, of course. One of my original
Anyway,
90%
sorry,
was
Seth.
going to be something like that. But anyway, yeah.
What do you think the chances are that now that AMD has gained a lot of like share, like market share, that they create their own sort of like Grand Slam?
I don't think
Yeah,
they're going to
brand
try.
style.
They'd have to partner up with like a TO, like a ESL, which I don't
EGL
see happening.
next year.
PGL,
maybe.
PGL Blast. They'd have to
It
call
depends
it
on how
something completely
seriously
There's
different.
not enough
PGL
blast
are, like,
events to do it, I
actually-
don't think.
It depends how serious PGL are with like actually trying to
Also-
like take down ESL and CS, which I don't think they are, if I'm being honest.
But it doesn't need to be a million.
But we'll
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
They could just be like 100k
yeah.
and a couple of CPUs. There you go.
I don't want those dodgy CPUs, mate. You keep them to yourself. I don't want ones that's just going to melt themselves.
Yeah, the Grand Slam, but it's just
He says
the pad
running-
is just hardware.
I mean, I'm literally running a laptop CPU and a desktop motherboard, so that's just.
What
I'm in
works?
a glass house there with dodgy computers. But anyway,
But yeah, like is that I think we're all sort of relatively in agreement on that point. Then yeah.
Yeah, well,
yeah, which is rare.
I mean, listen, that is what I
I'm
said, though,
disappointed.
right?
Especially
That
for
is what I
10%.
said. People would come around
So
to the idea.
my 10%.
Yeah, go on. If you decided
Actually-
finally.
I've decided because you reminded me that Spirit basically can't win the Grand Slam this year because they aren't going to Rio. My 10% is FaZe will win another Grand Slam by the end of 2025.
You're insane.
Nah, I mean, that
Wow.
goes.
This is
That's
I
crazy.
literally said the
feeling than
opposite.
anything
So
How dare you?
They've already
dare
won
you.
2 events out of 4.
yeah, but how many? Since I had this page up, do you know how many events they have left to do it? And
like 3, 4.
chances. I mean, wait, are you saying they win it this year?
No, I said by
No,
the end of
next year.
2025.
Okay, well,
That's still insane.
Grant.
Like,
That's
Okay,
actually-
let me give
I
you
don't-
the. If you
They only have to win 2 more events.
they only have okay, they
I
have
to do the
5
cascade.
chances.
Are you insane? Are you insane?
Dude, FaZe might be staring down the barrel of a rebuild, and you're trying to say they could win another Grand Slam?
And they still need to win they
Two
still need to win the
events?
prestige event, by the way.
Yeah, that's true.
Like they need to win a
That
Cato or
is
Cologne.
insane.
So you're saying, wait, are you saying end of 2025?
Yeah.
So but then you also say
No.
that another team doesn't take it from them, and then so you're saying MongolZ, G2, Spirit, all 3.
Mouths are not going to get any more.
Okay,
right?
but
They
G2
got
have
those
already
2
won the prestige event,
Okay.
so they can. So you okay? So betting against G2 is probably fine, but
Mate, I can't. Sorry.
no, it just doesn't. It just
Think
doesn't
about
work,
it
just
bro.
looked- I've just looked at
I will
HMT.
admit this was more of a gut feeling than others. But
You got to get your gut
think
checked
about
out
it for a
then, mate.
second. Your initial reaction is like disgust. I know your initial reaction is disgust.
Have you
but
heard
the
of
longer you
fecal
think on it-
transplants? You know?
Oh, mate. Oh, God, I can't.
There is an avenue
What a
for
grim
this.
thought.
Yeah,
but I
there's an
don't see it
avenue.
happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they get Shuhei IGL, that's it, and Carrigan retires, and if Rops actually just
Yeah,
locks
if
in,
they
then
get
no, no,
if they
maybe.
get
Space.
Mouse and then they get the Inter Grand Slam under the Mouse core.
No.
Yeah.
Space.
That'd be outrageous.
This is what
No,
I'm talking
I-
about.
I think
Okay, let's go event by
I can't
event. Let's
effort.
go event by event, and you explain yourself on each one. Because they have to win a prestige
Yeah.
event. Talk me
We-
through the next prestige events.
Let me just get up the list.
Well,
'cause
I
when I
mean-
got it up earlier, it only showed the ones for this year.
But I mean, there's only 3 left. There's Cologne,
yeah,
Cato,
there's Rio,
Cologne
Cologne.
for prestige because they need to win one of them to get the Grand
Not
Slam.
Cato. Oh, you mean Kato next
But then
year,
ye-
right?
Yes,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you
yeah.
said end of 2025, right? So you got
Correct.
3 chances to win one of Cologne, Kato, Cologne.
Carragher will be
Is there not-
35. It'll be
Nice.
35.
He's done it before. He can do it
He
again.
has not done this before.
There's
he-
no way. He's not LeBron. This
He
isn't. It's not.
is.
No.
He kind of
He's
is, to be
not.
honest. He was
Look at his
He's not
numbers.
he was a
LeBron
star
anymore.
He's
player in 1.6.
He's Hooksy with aura.
He is
He's
Hooksy.
Hooksy
Mate,
with
he,
aura.
he's got lower rating than
It's
Hooksy.
How many
so
times?
bad.
How many times has
he's got-
Carrigan come back?
Has
in
he
the
come back
past
from this bad?
20 years.
It was never this bad.
This
bad
It
is
was
crazy.
never this
No.
bad.
It was never this low.
As I just said, I
I've
looked
watched
at
almost
his
all of his CS
all-time worst
CS:GO career.
performances, and 2 of the 50 were from this year. The others were like 2013
Yeah,
and 11.
2013. What are you talking
Mate, that
about?
was when he was AWPing back then. Fuck off. What do you mean?
That was that was
Someone 2017.
right.
Was he? I think he was AWPing in 2013.
He's come back before, is what I'm saying. Like, look, I know I'm
Yes, he
usually
was
the
AWPing in
stats-based guy.
2013.
I know I'm usually the stats-based guy, but right, you just gotta believe sometimes. You gotta believe in the FaZe magic.
But like,
I think Carrigan's past it.
but like, not.
Sadly.
But even
this
if you
would
look
be,
past,
this would be a viable
okay, you know
take.
what?
The stars aren't there. The stars aren't there. That's the issue. Like, and I don't.
How
really,
is
like,
this
I mean, Robs
more
can definitely
fucking
come
bad
back.
of a reaction than Heseltine looking at the fucking star signs of Cologne?
Because
I think astrology's more reliable than FaZe in 2024.
Carrigan does have the rocks.
How dare you? What are you talking about? What do you mean?
I mean, they did win Chengdu, but you know what? Astrology is sometimes right. FaZe did win Chengdu. You know what? You've got a point. But that is okay. You know what, Sif? I'll give you your only angle.
It is a 10% for a reason.
Your only angle is if they keep the core. But like, no, but they can't even. What core do they have to keep for this to be valid? Hold on.
Carrigan, Rain, and Rops.
And Brokey, technically. And
Well, no, they need to keep.
And Frozen.
Then-
They keep
No,
the
no.
entire core. They keep the entire lineup.
Well, no, they can't. They can't. Frozen doesn't count because one of their
Mate.
wins was with twists, right?
I refuse to
No,
believe.
because with Flamey, with Na'Vi, they
Yes,
could
but that was still
choose
a
it.
3-man
Because
core, but
he
the
was only
3-man
there for
core didn't
one.
include Flamey.
Shout out Flamey.
Yeah, shout out
Future
Flamey.
Falls and Horizon.
I remember
Prime.
your rampode.
If Zeus can win a major,
That's not
I
a.
remember his
his
30 kill
level of-
half.
if Zeus can win a major at his level of shittery, so can Carrigan.
Mate,
I'll
Zeus
hate to
Okay,
break
but
it to you,
okay.
I
Yeah,
think
Your,
Zeus was
your
not
argument,
nearly
if your
this bad.
argument is that Carrigan's gonna be there, it's really weak. But if your argument is someone's gonna replace him, then I have to ask you, what's the 3-man
I'm
core?
sticking to my guns. Carrigan is gonna be there, and he's gonna get the second
No.
Grand Slam, and he's gonna be the only fucking IGL to have done it in both CS:GO and CS2.
Are you reading fan fiction?
Listen.
What
When
do
the
you
episode
mean?
comes up, the episode after I Am Cologne 2025, where I am right and they've won,
I am Cologne.
I expect you to
2025.
be fucking
Carrigan's gonna walk out on stage with like a
venerating
fucking
me on a fucking
cane.
mountain. All right.
They getting grouped, mate. They're getting grouped.
Carrigan's not even gonna survive in the roster. In the first place, like
I'm just saying.
Listen,
if I'm
I don't know how
expect you to be
delusional the FaZe players
venerating
are
me the
to not-
episode after.
They need to actually do a coup of FaZe, because I think Carrigan might have to go. Like,
It's
straight
true.
up. I don't know why the players haven't done it yet.
no, well, they'll give it.
But
They're
they
giving it a
gotta
Can you
go.
season.
imagine?
They gotta
They're
do
giving
it.
it a season of copium,
He's
which is
so
fair.
good.
He can have this season of copium.
Okay, he gets one season off.
This
one
is his
off,
season,
but
this is his
afterwards
season.
You gotta do it. This is his like, okay,
Exactly,
let's see
this
if he can
is
still do
his
it.
Yeah, not to
season. He's
win,
gonna
to,
show
to-
you all.
before he retires.
What are you
This is
talking
the
about?
farewell
What?
tour, mate. What are you getting? This is the
But
farewell
like, it
tour.
fails on all angles.
gonna-
Practical, like we haven't even discussed the fact that someone else could win it.
Okay, let's pose a hypothetical, right?
Sure.
It's December 2024. Carrigan has done it again. He's won Cologne, Rio, and the tour all back to back. He's won the major. You see Kin Carrigan on top of a
I
podium.
don't really.
There's like crowds,
I'm not seeing
sways
it.
asking him to put on the Batman mask.
Listen, Carrigan can win Rio, but like he needs to win Cologne. That's the point.
Yeah.
But he's not going to do that.
With what star players?
He's not going to win Cologne.
They're-
He's going to
they're not
win
there. They're-
Katowice.
Right.
Again, with what star
After a
players?
break.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Rest, recuperate.
This is a level
He's
of
gonna have to start
delusion even
taking
I can't get
supplements.
behind. Just-
I think Bleed have a better chance of making major playoffs than this happening. That's
Actual
how
Hey, no, how
bullshit.
dare you? How dare you? I've seen that
Wait,
team
who
play.
had a team of? Wait, what did he say? Hold on.
He said Bleed had a better chance of making major playoffs.
Okay, that's like
than this
Bleed
happening
are
phase,
worse
which is
than like
actual
ITB
cope.
were. Like
Mate, they
That's what I mean,
brought
it's
in
crazy.
Nork and Jacob and got worse.
they got a little bit
What are you
better, and then they
doing?
got.
So, aside from like reactions, let's give some opinions on this. Like, let's go some evidence. You know,
Sure.
I've posed
got no
my
evidence.
point of view.
Okay.
Okay, my evidence
Go
is
ahead.
Carrigan's HLTV stat page for this year. That's all I need to show you.
No,
Like,
no,
he's
no,
just-
no,
My
no.
evidence
Because as
spooks you
soon
with
as you
aura
switch
of
it
this year.
over to past 6 months instead of past 3 months,
Right. Yeah. Because
and big
that's because
events.
no, but when you look at a line, it's going down. But if you look at the left half of the line, it's higher than the right half of the line. You see where I'm going?
Oh, you're making me laugh so much, my shoulder's hurting.
Like there's a
That's what it
trajectory here, and it can get worse. That's the
It
thing.
can get better.
No, but like, can it?
And I like to spin that wheel.
But like, we haven't even.
How do you?
G2 could win 2 AMs.
Don't you dare?
That's
Yeah, but
not
I don't like
impossible.
G2.
They got shooters.
You
And
like,
they
you're
got
telling me
Monacy.
Spirit skips out in Rio, and G2 could win Rio. Like they could just win
G2
Rio,
could
and then
easily win
like
that.
they
Yeah,
could
but
win
I
the
don't
next
like
IM.
G2, so that's why I'm talking about FaZe.
Yeah, I know, but like,
Whoever wins Rio is just going to be a fluke, like it always is.
no. Imagine. I just
my
imagine.
opinion on
Imagine
that.
the worst possible reality is that Sift is right.
Net.
FaZe win Cologne, and then they lift the Grand Slam in Rio.
Oh,
They bring out the bars in front of the Brazilian crowd.
No,
Jesus,
I
I'd have to
don't
hit the
even want
bar
that
after
to
that.
happen.
just that's outrageous.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if I'm keeping it 100, the team's just old, and
Well,
they
the
play
team's not
like
even old.
so many maps of CS. They're just like
The average age
the thing is,
younger than
I think they're just
Falcons.
tired. Oh yeah, they're definitely younger than Falcons, but that's not hard. Like, I think the problem is they're a core that have played together. They've played so much fucking CS. Like I think partially they're a bit exhausted. I think maybe some of the players on the team are probably content with the career they've had and aren't like grinding as hard. I think it would be literally one of the most miraculous things I've ever seen if we have like Carrigan Renaissance at 3 at this point, 4 maybe. I don't even know like how many he's had, but like
Yeah,
If he
he'll be
does, all right.
35 years old next year. Like I don't know, man. I just like
Yeah, but
I
imagine
respect
retiring with
the
3
faith.
majors and 2 Grand
Yeah,
Slams.
but there's a reason you said imagine though. Like the key word is
Yeah, exactly.
imagination. Like because that's what you.
Yeah.
You
that's
need a
what you
very
need.
strong imagination. I think
Exactly.
he's had a hell of a career, but like this is just getting sad. Like this is like something needs to change. And I think
Bro,
he definitely
he has
knows
one
it, 'cause,
bad
like,
event, and you're all for his head.
What?
Give him a chance.
Are
One
you-
bad. Let me check on the
what are you
one bad
talking about?
event. Let me.
Okay,
Yeah, that
Maybe a
is
bit more than one.
It's one bad event.
Let's take a gander at the one bad event.
Mate, he hasn't had a good event. What are you talking about? He hasn't had a good event. That's not a single event where he's gone positive this year. What are you talking about?
Okay.
He went
but
minus
his
46
strategies
at
have
one.
backed
He
him
went
to the
minus
win.
60 at Katowice. Minus 61. What are you talking about? He went minus 61 at mate, he went minus 61 at the Blast Premier full.
No, hold on.
Blast
He's got a
Spring Final.
1.04 rating at ESL Pro League. That counts towards the Grand Slam. Hold on.
Oh.
Let him go.
Oh, lads, go on.
Let him go.
Oh, the highest stakes, the most important,
Right.
It's a
where everyone
month long,
takes it
though.
seriously.
When was the last time he had a green rating? 2021. 2021 is when he last had a green
in
rating
an event, but like
in an event.
they've won.
That was with Olaf,
but
man.
think
That was an
about it.
RMR.
That was with
Proves my point.
Olaf.
Exactly.
That was an
Actually,
RMR.
actually helps prove my point, though. It proves that individually he
Ow!
doesn't need to be going green. In between 2021 and now, they won a major and a Grand Slam. If you're forgetting,
Yeah, but the team was also better around him than it is now, to be clear.
yeah,
I
I'm
do
not
hate to
saying it's
be-
going to be the exact same roster, but Carrigan's going to
Okay,
be there,
here's a
and he's going
thought
to get a
exercise.
second Grand Slam.
Okay, if
Here's a thought exercise. What is FaZe's best map right now?
Oh,
off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you an answer from memory.
There isn't one. That's the problem.
It's
The map
surely
pool
it's ancient.
doesn't exist. It might have to be, but then
Ancient's
again,
everyone's best map right now.
exactly.
Yeah,
Look,
statistically
the point
it's ancient, but
stands that
they're
he
quite-
doesn't need to be individually performing amazing as long as the stats work. He definitely needs to improve his individual stats right now, but I don't think
But the
it's
thing
out
is, like,
of
we
this
harped
realm
this
for him to get like 0.1, 0.2 rating
point
better.
2 rating better is a lot of improvement. I don't think like you can't just drop 0.2 of him.
You might have to
Yeah.
install cheats for that to
Like,
happen.
He's gonna have to hit up
Get
Joel for that
Joel's
one, like.
config.
Yeah.
Yeah, get Joel's
I
config
saw
off him.
that
He doesn't.
cross
Carrigan doesn't have to play
banning
qualifiers, so there's no Acros.
That's true.
Free, just free.
Mate,
God.
if I
I think
if I saw
ASL should just let him cheat.
Like the
I mean, he
Mate.
deserves it.
like the
Yeah,
He's
he's a
earned
king
it.
after all.
like the stars just have to
one cheat
align
for good old
in
days.
so many ways. Like Rops needs to come back. Broken needs to be a bit more
But I don't
consistent.
know.
Carrigan needs to not be hooksy with
He
aura.
doesn't need to be more
as you
consistent.
said.
He just needs to have the upswings at the
Frozen-
right times.
Frozen needs more impact.
Ray needs to play like it's fucking Antwerp finals every game, apparently, as well. Which, I mean, listen, I don't think
we
that's
need Rain
happening.
to send his child to a private school, so he needs to work for the money.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And he'll get
Is
back
a
on his
big
graft.
game player, okay?
They need to get to the playoffs first, by the way. They need to like make it there in group stages. Which is
I'm just saying, it's a 10% possibility.
it's less than 10%. It's
0.1%. There you
It's
go.
not even 0.1%.
it may be
Come on.
maybe 1% at most.
This is harsh.
It's
You gotta
Exactly.
believe
Reality is cruel,
in the
man.
King Carrigan.
I don't.
Boys,
Yes.
last 3 months versus top 20, Rops has a lower rating than Floppy.
Say that so.
Jesus.
Yeah, but what teams
No
have they been
way.
going against versus what teams have Floppy been going against?
Oh no, it's the same rating actually. Sorry, it's the
Oh
exact
yeah,
same
that makes it
rating.
better. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's fine now,
But
isn't it?
Rops is in
He's
floppy
up there with
conversations now.
he's oh my god, he's
Rops
below
is in
Max.
floppy
Also
conversations
the top
now.
20 thing
Are
on
you
HLTV
serious?
Yeah,
is
but let's check
broken.
match by
Mate,
match.
he's
then.
below Madden.
No.
The top
Madden.
20 thing on HLTV.
Nah, well,
He's
obviously
below
what you think
Buddha.
it does.
He's below Buddha, and he's a pacifist.
I'm checking one by one now. I'm checking one by one now. Hold on.
Sorry, this is outrageous.
We have to listen. The podcast has gone
Mate.
very overtime, but I don't even care. This is a worthy conversation.
This is,
Sorry, I've just
we need
added
to see
chaos.
how bad Robs actually. Robs can't be worse than Buddha, surely not.
Fuck off.
Surely that can't be real.
It's versus
I
top 20,
can't
so
even
it's going to be
believe that.
some shitters in there, but like, yeah,
The
lower,
fact that even still like
lower
a
rating than Nika
conversation.
does. Lower rating than Nika does.
No way.
I'm gonna have
That
to mute my
can't
mic
be
and be
real.
sick in a second. Oh my god.
It's actually
Yeah, but okay,
Well-
look, the teams which Floppy's gone against are alternate attacks, Lost versus Navi, Lost versus Spirit, fucking Heroic OG, Heroic M80 VP, right? Whereas Rops has gone versus Nip, G2, Cloud9, Navi, FlyQuest, okay, that's a pretty shit one, Vitality, Navi.
Don't
Those are,
ruin
like,
my
a
point
tier
with
above.
facts. Sorry, that's
Yeah, but
outrageous.
Rob-
there is high.
Rob
we
is
are
one of the
asking you a
most-
little bit of
Robs is one
hyperbole.
of the highest paid players.
It is pretty
this
bad.
is
for
actually
this. You should be
inexcusable,
doing
though.
a lot better than this.
He's a star player, like what you do. He's got the
Yeah,
same
like,
rating as
this guy was
Siren on
literally, like-
Bedroom.
I
Are
believe
we
that
forgetting he
they'll
was
be back.
literally like the third best player last year? How has it come to this? it's
Mate,
insane.
Exactly.
Grim.
How is it? Exactly.
No,
How has
oh,
it come to
Grim.
this? Right. Here's the theory. Right. Here's the theory.
Go ahead.
Karrigan, in the middle of the night, deals Rop's Porsche, scraps it, says he'll buy him a new one if they get a Grand Slam.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't work because he can afford a new one already.
Takes his bank account privileges.
Right. They got you.
No, he can
We
just
all
do
know.
that then.
You got
right?
you got to get Carrigan on the parent plan, like. Where-
He's not responsible with his money. He bought a Porsche and started losing.
Okay,
I
listen.
mean, Apex also has a ridiculous.
I have nothing more to say on this. I'm just disgusted at how bad Rops is.
It's
They
it's not a
ruined it.
great state of affairs.
Right. Do you want to know what's
I'm just-
even worse as well?
I
Grim
will
has got
say
a,
this:
for the year.
either that
Grim has got a
Don't tell
lower
me it's
rating than
better.
CSM.
That's not true. That's just not
A
true.
far lower rate. A lower rating than versus top 20. Lower rating than CSM.
That can't
the
be-
top 20 thing in
That's
HLTV
not
doesn't do what
right,
you
that's
think it
just-
does.
Listen, I do not. I
Lower
don't-
rating than Carlex.
But Calix is.
Okay. here's the
Obviously,
thing.
it's stats and it's
I will.
it's not.
There are two ways
doesn't
that
mean
this
a
is
huge
going to go.
amount.
Okay.
Either my prediction's going to go right, or FaZe are going to disband. Like they're going to rebuild.
That's fair.
I mean, yeah,
That's a
but
good
that's
thing.
not like doesn't help your prediction. That's not in support of your.
I'm just
point.
betting on the first side of it. 50-50.
Yeah, but yours it's not a. But in the first place, it's not a 50-50. It's a 10% take actually. So you've been disproved. I would like to say.
Not disproved. You just disagree with me. I'll be disproved by the end of 2025.
Well, hey,
possibly.
you said it, not me. Okay, you said you'd be disproved.
Well, I can only be disproved by the end of.
Well, no, they can
2020.
disband before that.
Yeah, but I did technically say FaZe, so as long as FaZe exists.
Well, no. The core is actually what accepts it, not the organization.
Yeah, I'll agree. If the core disbands, then I'm proven wrong. But as long as 3 players remain from the current roster,
Well,
right.
it's not just any 3 players though,
yeah,
because Frozen can't be part of those 3, because otherwise
Oregon has to be a part of it, but the rest of them are fair game.
no. But you need 3 to stay out of Rain, Brokey, Carrigan, and Rops.
I think me saying Karrigan has to stay as it is fair enough of a limitation.
Yes, because it makes it impossible.
So you can only really replace one player because you're not replacing Frozen, are you?
No.
You could
So-
replace Brokey if they could get Monacy.
Right, yeah. If they get, of course,
Mate.
if FaZe get Monacy,
Yeah,
then
yeah,
they
they
will
can
win the Grand
definitely
Slam.
afford them.
You know what?
There's already been
Yeah.
rumors about. There's already been rumors about Monacy looking for other places.
I haven't heard of him joining FaZe,
I
bro.
want-
You got to give me those Telegram
I
links,
want-
man. Where are you finding that?
I want another superstar to play under Carrigan because the way he elevates them is just so good to watch.
Imagine
Like,
the Carrigan
Nico was so
elevation of
good in
Monacy. You
FaZe.
see my vision. You see my vision now.
Well, Hooksy elevated Monacy.
He
you
could
know?
nearly match Guardian on FaZe.
I don't
He
see
could nearly
them
be a good
elevate
Guardian.
Monacy. Fuck off with that. That is bullshit.
Well, let's wait and see on that one. You know,
I think the jury's out on that one, to be honest.
you gotta
Elevate?
let that
Wait.
one brew a little bit.
I think he would have been good without Hooksy.
Well, we're about to find out. Let's put it that way.
Well, yeah, we'll find out.
Okay, Snacks
I-
being in
also,
charge now
if we-
does not mean that Hooksy elevated him. It's more of, is Snacks gonna make him play worse?
Right. So
So,
what you're saying is
I think
Hooksy
the-
elevated him.
No, I'm saying Snacks is being a weight on his fucking neck.
So Monacy is not independent of the
I thought you were going to
IGL.
call him a waste man.
As a result of him
No,
not being
I-
independent of the IGL,
think-
you're saying that the IGL affects his gameplay.
No, I'm saying that Hooksy didn't have an effect, and Snacks is having a negative effect, not Snacks
I
having
think
a neutral
I think
effect.
Snacks
and
might not
Hooksy
know how
having a-
to.
Do anything really? Yeah.
Sorry, I think Snacks might not know how to use an AWPer like that because in Virtus Pro they never had a kind of Pasha, but he was never a superstar AWPer.
Wait, you telling
And then-
me 8 core isn't
and-
Monacy?
What?
Certainly, yeah.
Anyway,
And even at a point they had Neo warping, and he was just literally if there was ever a supportive AWPer, it was Neo who would just hold a line, and that was basically his job. Like that's all he did. So I don't know if Taz or Snacks know how to integrate an AWPer like that, because while they gave Pasha some leeway, but he was like,
Yeah.
let's be honest, he's not the smartest gentleman. He's lovely, but he's not. Like I think MongolZ has a bit more cerebral.
Yeah.
A bit more cerebral. In
Anyway,
this game,
that aside, I think we've all
I don't know, it
collectively
might be a-
denounced Swift's
yeah.
take. I think we've sent him to the realm where he belongs.
I cannot morally endorse Sift or his actions or
No,
any of
me
his
neither.
opinions. I'm
You
disgusted.
just said one of my takes was based earlier.
Yeah, I take
mean,
it back.
I mean, it's like
I
sometimes you
take it
follow
back.
someone on Twitter or something, and then you're like, you like it, and then you see one post, and you're like, oh no, you know, you agree with everything, and then you see that one post, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, we were having such a good time, you know. You could have stayed on my feet, and then you had to say
Why
that.
did he?
Exactly. Anyway.
Yeah.
Don't take it too far on this.
No, I stopped myself.
It's time to end the podcast.
Stop
Thank
myself.
you for watching.
Wait, aren't we missing a 1%?
Thank you for
Are
having
we?
me.
No, you were the last one, right? Because we.
No, I
Yeah,
didn't like
you
it,
were.
Because Heseltine started,
Okay,
and then we
good.
all waited for you to decide.
Yeah, sorry.
No. It was worth the discussion, of course.
I'm
Yeah.
incredibly angry about it.
Yeah, of course.
Well, it's gonna be a good. It's gonna be for engagement at least.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you all for coming. We
Hopefully.
got links in the description for me, not for anyone here, unfortunately. But I mean, if they got links, then I will put links. And yeah,
I do nothing. So
listen, we will one day get you to your own King T status. I think it's a inevitability.
I might.
I mean, mate,
I
you
know,
called
we'll talk about this off-
you
off air,
called
but
yeah.
Donk
Yeah.
being good a year before he joined Spirit, so like that already elevates you in my eyes.
I've got plans.
So like when they
I've got
lifted the
plans,
Kato
I just-
trophy, you know,
bit
Vondas
delayed.
also had a hand on that trophy. Is basically what we're trying to say.
I did.
Yeah.
They said, really, if you were here, we would have let you lifted it first, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, I couldn't attend. So
Yeah, it's like C9 and Jack lifting that trophy.
they just let me have the trophy. It's currently above the fireplace.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
I've taught Donk most of what he knows.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.
Bye.